The throw's coming to third, and everybody's safe. Walker dives in. That ball's in right field. Here comes Mason to score, and the Cardinals have stolen the lead.
Yeah, I've been good, man. There's still a lot of stuff I can work on, some stuff that's still inconsistent, but, man, I think I'm on the right track, getting back to where I want to be, and it looks good, it feels good, and I, want to be more consistent than I am right now.
That audio courtesy of FanDuel Sports Midwest. Jordan Walker with another good game yesterday. 3 for 5. T-Bone's going to say it was actually a 2 for 5 game because he doesn't think one of those hits should have counted.
I mean,
that checks out.
It should be an error. You look up in the sun and you lose it. How's that not an error?
Instead, he gets a hit and an RBI off of it, so you love to see it. Jordan Walker, another nice day for him. Alex, Jordan Walker's the number one player that I want to see down the stretch. I know the other day we had our back and forth on the importance of should he be playing 6 days a week versus 5 versus 4. How's he fit into this outfield rotation alongside Alec Burleson and Ivan Herrera and Lars Nootbaar and Victor Scott and the other 27 guys that they have to figure out playing time for right now? Well, since July the 19th, he has played in 16 games. In that stretch, he has a .310 average, a .365 on-base percentage, and an OPS nearing 800, Alex. He does not have a home run. That's all right. I'm not worried about it. His process looks good. We are seeing some of the results start to go his way. Alex, what did you take from Jordan Walker's performance yesterday and really what we've seen from him for almost a month now?
I mean, he looks like a different player. He's coming through in big moments. I've got a BK game for you guys.
Oh, yes, let's do it.
So,
love these
since
games.
He's come back, you mentioned 17 games. Since
16.
he's returned 16 games. How many games do you think he's had multiple hits in?
BK game, high number probably because otherwise you would be asking. 5.
I was thinking 6.
It's 4.
Damn, I went over.
How many do you think he had in the first 55 games of the season?
Fun BK game. This is probably a low number because you're asking.
2. Maybe 1.
5. Yes!
So in 16 games, he has as many multiple hits in a game as he did in the first 55 games of the season. To me, that's a different player. He's looking at the ball or the pitchers differently. He's approaching swings differently. He's not chasing. He's more confident. He's more calm at the plate, and he's coming through in bigger moments. So to me, I'm seeing a different Jordan Walker than what I saw before that injury. And that is a great sign for the Cardinals. Sure, one of them might not have counted, T-Bone. Sure, one of them should have been an error. But that's Jordan Walker making contact and Jordan Walker actually putting the ball in play and making things happen, where earlier in the season for 55 games, he's going to have one of those moments in 4 or 5 at-bats. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing something that's building towards what the Cardinals were hoping at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and though there was the one. His plate appearances do look much better, and he looks like he's able to lay off the slider low and away. He still chases it at times, but it looks more confident in the takes. And I don't have the numbers to back this up. I feel like he's better now against fastballs. And I remember previously, up until we started to see the stretch run, there were times where you'd see him taking fastballs right down the middle of the plate. And I think that was him just guessing and hoping for a slider. Then when a fastball would come, he wasn't there to react to it. So I think he's going more off of his instincts now. His eye may be a little bit better of recognizing the spin to lay off those sliders low and away. And I agree with what BK said. He's the only guy, like, they can talk about all this runway and all this, hey, the final 2 months are about evaluating what we have. He's the only guy I still have no idea what you have in. So he is the one that I am most evaluating for the final 2 months of this season. And I was a little worried that maybe he was starting to regress back to what had been him early on in the year. We talked about it yesterday. That game 2 against the Dodgers where he went, I think it was 0 for 4 in that game. The plate appearances just didn't look good. And he was off to a little bit of a slow start, like a 2 for, I think, 13 start to to August. And I thought, okay, maybe are we starting to see him get back into those old habits again? And then he comes through and he gets 3 hits last night. So hopefully it continues on for him in the final 2 months of the season.
I've got my fingers crossed. And that's all you can really do, right? Is just hope, anticipate that maybe there's been some legitimate changes for him, and we'll see what it looks like as we continue along here. But the expected numbers suggest not sure that everything's actually changed.
Good.
The actual numbers look really good. Do you guys want to hear about them or no?
Yeah, I do.
I don't care about your expected numbers.
Mostly because I got yelled at earlier.
Tell
for
me what's
saying
happening.
That hit where he slammed it into the ground.
So expected numbers. And I know people love these, baby. Woo, here we go. BK nerdy numbers coming out for you. Expected batting average in this stretch of time that we've been talking about since, July the 18th, July 19th?
Yeah.
Basically since he returned from the injured list. 220 batting average, 335 slugging percentage. Actual numbers, 310 average, 415 slugging percentage. His exit velos are still pretty darn good. He's attacking the ball in a way that you're like, okay, it's starting to show some better signs of not necessarily putting it in the air, but for people, it's more line drives. You like to see that. But yeah, the expected numbers not exactly showing that there's been a ton of difference. But the actual numbers are what matter. We're watching the games. He looks better. The process looks better at the plate, so I'm going to trust my eyes instead of trusting the numbers.
I find myself, though, with Jordan Walker actually saying, do they, though? Do the actual numbers matter compared to the expected numbers? Because he feels like the guy that, like, when the expected numbers don't look the greatest, you feel like there's a regression coming at some point for Jordan Walker.
That's the fear.
But the other thing was, like, yesterday, like, he made things happen. He made that go-ahead run happen with his aggressiveness on the base paths. And I think that's also a good thing from Jordan Walker, rather than being too timid on the base paths. Some of these don't matter if you're not getting on base, but I don't know. For me, it's just it's more of a body language thing, and it just doesn't feel like he's the insecure batter that we saw in the first portion of the season.
It looks better, in my opinion, and ultimately that's what matters. It's my eyes instead of the numbers. All right, Alex, yesterday the Cardinals win the game against the against the LA Dodgers. They win 2 out of 3. This is the second time they've been able to do that. They played really well against the Dodgers this season, and the Dodgers are not a great team. They're a good team, a very good team, an exceptionally talented team. Is it good for baseball, in your opinion, that the Dodgers are just like a really good team? Playing them feels like playing against the Cubs or playing against the Mets or the Phillies. It's just like, oh yeah, you're going up against a talented, good group of hitters, but flawed nonetheless. Like, I personally left the series against the Padres thinking that is, to me, a more fearsome team than going up against the LA Dodgers. I think going up right now against the Phillies or the Mets is more fearsome to me than going up against the Dodgers. That could change at a moment's notice the moment that Mookie Betts gets back to being himself again, if that ends up happening this year. But right now, all of those teams, to me, are kind of in the same category. Is that good for baseball in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's great for baseball. The checkbook Dodgers looking vulnerable right now, where other teams actually have an opportunity, and also a team that I think a lot of people have hated over the last couple of years because they can just get away with signing any player that's available. Yeah, it's great that that team is probably much more vulnerable than what they've been in years past. To me, though, I'm not jumping on this of saying, like, hey, the Dodgers don't look that good, because they're a team that the regular season doesn't matter. Like, they're a team that can be bad in the regular season and then get to the postseason, and then it just clicks all of a sudden, and the next thing you know, they go off on it. But yeah, anytime you have a wide open National League with multiple teams that have a shot to win the World Series, that's always great for baseball, because now I don't just have to expect the outcome of the World Series winner because the Dodgers spend the most money.
Yeah, I think it's great for baseball that you're seeing the Dodgers look like they're leaking oil, to where it doesn't look like they are just clearly the best team in the sport. Because I think the worst part that you can have in sports is when you go through a time where you look at it and go, oh, so the Golden State Warriors, like, we don't even have to watch their 82 regular season games. We honestly don't have to watch their first 2 playoff rounds.
Just watch
we
the
just
finals.
know they're going to be in the conference finals and probably the NBA finals. And that's how the Dodgers felt coming into the year after they made the signing of Blake Snell, and they went out and they got Sasaki in the offseason. They signed Tanner Scott, one of the best bullpen arms. Oh, and Kirby Yates. It was like, okay, well, like, they're inevitable. And then injuries have happened. And offensively, they haven't been the team that I thought they were going to be this year. Mookie Betts is having a down year. I think this is great for baseball. I agree with you, though, BK. I think they are a team that I'm a little worried about when they get to October, because when was the last team that you said, boy, it feels like they're leaking oil, and then got to the World Series? Typically doesn't happen. Something goes wrong for them. But yeah, I think it's great for baseball that they are not viewed as okay, they're definitely going to be in the World Series, and it's just a matter of who comes from the AL.
I think it's awesome. Here's my fear. They leak oil during the regular season. They don't take the regular season all that seriously. They get to the postseason, look like the team we all expected them to be, and then that's even worse. Because now you go into every season, and it doesn't even matter what they do for 162. You leave that 162nd game and say to yourself, all right, here come the Dodgers. They're inevitable once again. That would be, to me, where this is really actually something different. I still want to see what happens with the Dodgers in the playoffs. They're getting that rotation somewhat healthy now. We'll see what happens over the next 6 to 7 weeks with Mookie Betts, because if we get to October and in the month of September, Mookie is hitting like 300 with a 500 slugging percentage, we're going to be like, same old Mookie, here we go again. And everybody's going to approach him in the postseason as if it's future Hall of Famer, all-time great, one of the best players in the league, Mookie Betts. And then suddenly you're back to Shohei, Mookie, Freddie, and Will Smith, who has an OPS nearing 1,000 on the season. And then we're all going to look back and be like, nah, well, they might have sleptwalked through the regular season, but they're still the LA Dodgers that we all expected them to be. So I don't think there's really any way to know this one way or the other until we get to October. It's the same thing that I have on the Milwaukee Brewers, where like, they've been amazing. They deserve all of the praise in the world. I view them kind of similar to probably what you viewed the Winnipeg Jets as, Alex. Really good regular season team. I totally believe in it, and I absolutely think they are deserving of all of your praise. We'll get to October, and I'm not going to believe it on the Brewers until I see it. They haven't won a playoff game in October since 2018. Think about how much has changed in baseball since 2018.
Yeah,
the Brewers have won 0 playoff games since then.
I also look at their pitching staff, and I don't know if they've
say that every year.
I don't know if I've said that as good as this is right now.
I absolutely have. Peralta, Woodruff, and Burns.
Yeah, that was good.
They had Devin Williams as their closer. They had Josh Hader. No, excuse me. They had Devin Williams as their 8th inning setup man to get to Josh Hader with that pitching staff that I just mentioned. I've said this about the Brewers before, about their pitching. Their lineup is better this season than it has been in the past, but I just don't believe it. I don't believe it until I see it in the month of October.
Can I tell you what my hope is? Like, you laid out the fear for the Dodgers. This is my hope for the Dodgers. Padres catch them. They fall into the wild card picture, and Padres end up with a bye, and the Dodgers are out within the 3-game wild card round.
That'd be fun as hell.
Because I think it's, 1, fun, but 2, I think it would be a reminder to teams, hey, you should be trying for this bye in the first round, because anything can happen in a best-of-3 series. And if the mighty Dodgers, who went out and have Shohei Ohtani, the $700 million man, and had what was arguably one of the best off seasons we've ever seen, and they're out within 3 games in the wild card to like the Cubs or the Mets, yeah, I think that's a reminder. Hey, you better push for that top 2 seed in the National League.
He's T-Bone. That's Alex. I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. The 314 says, this is just like how we talk about the Chiefs come playoff time. Different in the checkbook part for the Dodgers, though. That's a fair comparison. The Chiefs sometimes sleepwalk through the regular season. This past year, they were winning every game seemingly by 1 score. They had to have like a blocked field goal against the Broncos. They had to push to the like very end of the game to beat the bleeping Panthers. So yeah, that's definitely a fair comparison.
Help them out a little bit.
Also on YouTube, people are remarking that I look like I'm ready for picture day today. Just a podcast day. That's it.
Button up that top button.
You think? I was thinking about maybe going 1 button lower.
Whoa.
Lower or higher.
Oh, there's a shirt underneath, too.
Yeah,
okay,
there's a little.
Like you're going to show off your JC chest hair.
Easy.
We both got the same beard, and he's got a little more chest hair than I have going on.
Both got some big...
It's weird, because Squidward's pretty bare down there.
You know what's funny is when he was like, you want to hear the expected numbers, all I could hear was the Squidward voice.
It's all I hear now.
Yeah.
It.
Coming up in 15 minutes, what's the number 1 storyline for college football this year? But next, I think there was an under-the-radar storyline that came out of yesterday's Cardinals game. We'll talk about it here on BK and Ferrario. Just saw this come across from Cardinals Player Development. Starting tonight, FanDuel Sports Midwest will stream and televise 5 Memphis Redbirds games within the St. Louis television footprint. This begins tonight. J.J. Weatherholt, Quinn Matthews, Jimmy Crooks, all in action against Durham. This starts at 6:30 tonight. It'll be, again, on FanDuel Sports Midwest. There are 5 games the rest of the way. 4 of them are on off days for the Cardinals. 1 of them is on the same day as a day game, so they'll have a night game for the Memphis Redbirds the day that the Cardinals are playing a day game. This is a cool idea. It's smart. First of all, if you're a Cardinals fan and you want to see J.J. Weatherholt, this is your opportunity to do so. I will say 3 of these games are in September. I'm not totally sure that J.J. Weatherholt will be with them in the month of September, but neither here nor there.
They'll flex it and go to Springfield games at that time.
Yeah. I love this idea, Alex. This is smart.
It is. I mean, this is the first thing I thought of when you said it was this is what a rebuilding team does, though. It's where it's like, hey, let's promote our younger pieces because these are the ones that people are excited about. But at this time of the year, specifically in September, when you're further out of a playoff race and people are less likely to be interested, you know what gets them excited? The upcoming guys who could be pushing for the playoff spots. And this one with Quinn Matthews and Weatherholt, that's about as great of a selling point as you can ask for if you're Cardinals.
You can't sell the big league club. You can at least sell hope. And AAA represents hope.
Yep.
Speaking of hope, I hope we are starting to see the signs of a new starter for the St. Louis Cardinals. Yesterday, one of the under-the-radar storylines, Alex, is that, A, Kyle Leahy was awesome once again, and B, Kyle Leahy threw 31 pitches for the Cardinals against the LA Dodgers. Went 2 2/3 innings, gave up just the 1 hit, no walks, 4 strikeouts for him. He's been a man on a mission recently. Alex, we talked about this yesterday when we were discussing the possibility of Miles Mikolas being removed from the rotation. There's just really not an obvious internal answer. You talk about Aaron Wilkerson. He's 36 years old. There's no future there. It's different just for the sake of being different, and the DeWitts aren't going to get rid of a guy making $18 million to start somebody that has no future with the team. Curtis Taylor has been brought up. He's 31. I guess if you wanted to go down that path, you technically could. Again, I don't really see a need to do it. He also has to be placed on the 40-man.
Oh, no.
So
can't do that.
The big reason there, the big thing there, if you don't have to do it, you don't want to, because you potentially would have to send him through waivers in the offseason, and if he looks good down the stretch, you don't want to lose him via waivers this offseason. So there's just, again, not really an incentive to do that. So then you get to Kyle Leahy, who was a starter at one point in his career, converted over to being a bullpen arm for them, and has been really good for them, Alex, and has stretched out occasionally to give them innings. Went 3 2/3 against the Colorado Rockies about a month ago, went 2 2/3 against the Padres, and then again yesterday with that game against the Dodgers. Was this the sign that they are potentially going to start stretching him out more? Or was it just, hey, starter didn't go super deep. We don't have a great amount of options in the bullpen right now. He's keeping us close. He's been great. Let's keep throwing him out there. How did you view his outing yesterday?
I kind of viewed it as the latter of, look, Liberatore didn't have as great of stuff, and they wanted to keep this game tight, and so they're like, look, let's just go Leahy because we know he's a long man. I'm hopeful that they're doing what you're talking about because he's at least something that gets you somewhat interested. I don't even want to use the word excited because I don't know if it gets you that excited, but I mean, it's interesting because you need pieces like this. But it didn't scream, well, let's get Liberatore out so we can add some extra pitches in for Leahy to start stretching them out more. To me, I viewed that as Liberatore is not having it. Leahy's got the stuff to give us extra innings. Let's keep this game tight and see what he has to offer. But if they are going to go down that path, this is the process, and by September, I think you're probably there. But that does mean you're probably going at least a few more starts from Miles Mikolas to make sure. And the holdup with me on Leahy is what Ollie said in terms of, you know, there's an innings limit with Leahy that you don't want to surpass. And if you get to September and you're close to it, does it even make sense to try and get him starts because he's going to be so tightly held by the Cardinals pitching staff? But if anything, man, this guy has stuff that gets you at least interested of what it could look like for next season.
Yeah, I think it was more of the, hey, our starter didn't go deep. We're going to use this as kind of a long man role for Kyle Leahy today. But I'm with Alex. My optimism is I hope that this is the stretching out part for Kyle Leahy. They're starting this process to where if he did start in Mikolas' spot next turnaround, he's already back up to 45 pitches in this buildup because you typically build up in about 15 pitches increments. My hope would be that that's what they decide to do. And that doesn't even mean that they move on from Miles Mikolas. I mean, the idea that I think they could explore, at least for the first handful of starts while you build him up, is almost that piggyback idea that we've heard them talk about at times in the past, where Leahy starts the game, goes his 45 pitches, maybe that's 3 innings, maybe that's like 2 1/3, and then you bring in Mikolas from the bullpen. Is it something that would excite you when Mikolas comes out of the bullpen? No, but he can come in and eat up part of the innings while you start to build Kyle Leahy back up. And it's just different, right? I wouldn't do this if Kyle Leahy's saying, like, man, my arm feels like it's about to fall off. You got to talk with the player. And if the player says, hey, I'm still feeling strong, I think you got to explore this, because I think it helps to start getting data points on, okay, here's what it's like, Kyle, to prepare as a starter. Let's actually give you big league experience in doing this. And then we can see, okay, what improvements do you need to make? What improvements, what works for you as a starting pitcher? And it can even tell you, okay, maybe this won't work for him in the long run. Maybe he is just a bullpen arm, but at least we found out in the 2 months that don't matter for the Cardinals compared to going into next year. And if they say they're going to try and win next year, the first month of the season, you have a starter and you're like, oh, wow, this wasn't going to work. Well, why did you not find that out when it was, quote unquote, runway time for the final 2 months of this season?
Yeah. Again, all of this comes back to what you said. Talk to the player, find out where he's at right now. If he says, I'm in a good spot to be able to do this, push him a little further the next time around, get him to 45 pitches. The next time, see where he's at. If you're still feeling good. If so, we'll keep pushing this. If not, we'll throttle it back. No harm in that. Get him to 60 pitches. See where he's at that point. Just keep checking in with the player. They do this all the time. It's not something that, like, we need to tell them, but just find out where he's at and see if he can be somebody that starts 3 or 4 games for you down the stretch. And if so, that's, again, collecting data. I think that there's very little downside to it, potentially, as long as the player continues to be in a good spot physically and mentally. All right. Do want to talk about this real quick. We haven't done it in a minute. It's time for our Cardinal Circle of Trust.
Who do you trust? Who do you trust? Tell me, who do you trust? It's the Cardinal Circle of Trust with BK and Ferrario.
That was the most exciting buildup I think I've ever had for Circle of Trust, man. I was pumped.
Well, we lost a few members recently.
A few? I think we
really
lost
two.
I think we lost most of our circle.
We lost a line from
It's
the
not
circle.
a circle anymore. It's just kind of like
We'll see.
little curve.
Looks like a moon.
Might be a triangle now. Maybe it's a square. Thinking about the number of players that are in it. All right, Cardinal Circle of Trust.
Okay.
If you're new to this, I'm a numbers guy. This is a way for me to not be a numbers nerd here on the radio, basically.
And you still are a numbers nerd.
How do you feel when this player enters the game? Do you feel as though he's going to get out of the inning unscathed? If it's like a 1-run game, are you confident that guy's going to be able to maintain that lead? If you're down by a run, are you confident that bullpen arm is going to be able to keep you within a run? That's ultimately what this is evaluating. Ryan Helsley, God bless you. You're with the Mets now. You are no longer a member of the Circle of Trust.
We want our shirt back.
No, you can keep the shirt.
Keep it? Oh,
Yeah, you keep
my
it in
bad.
We should
memory.
get shirts next year.
Plus, he'll probably be back next year. The
Oh,
Cardinals will
can
sign
Can you
him.
imagine? We pull a member out.
Give us your damn shirt.
My first picture is us like walking into the JoJo. Hey, I know you don't know us, but hey, we assumed large Circle of Trust shirt for BK and Ferrario. He'd be like, "What the hell is
We
this?"
give one to Ollie. We'll present one tomorrow to Ollie as he meets us here in the studio.
Kind of like what the
Be great.
Blues do after a win, where they hand out like the award to the player. Like we give it to Ollie, and
That's
Ollie
a-
awards the reliever of that game as welcome to the Circle
We
of
are
Trust.
planning to give Ollie a Be Patient shirt tomorrow.
Well, don't say it, man. He's supposed to be surprised. He's
Okay.
probably listening.
Well, if you're a member listening right now, that'll be something you can look forward to. By the way,
His
Ollie
patience
Marmol joining
being
us in
tested.
studio. That's the expectation tomorrow here on BK and Ferrario. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go with Kyle Leahy to begin.
The guy that we're talking about making a starter. Yeah, I think all three of us should be in favor of that one.
Are you guys in favor of Kyle Leahy being reinserted into the Cardinals bullpen circle of trust?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone through a weird year in the Circle of Trust where he was a member. We took the shirt away, and now he's back. And then when he starts, we'll let him keep it. But yeah, I'm in. I
Honorary
think Kylie's
member.
in. Yeah.
1.8 ERA in his last 20 innings.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been so good.
He's been the definition of solid when it comes to coming out of the bullpen for the Cardinals.
He is. When they talked about developing bullpen arms this year, like, he is one of the guys that you would actually point to as being that. I don't know what it means for 2026 because I don't know what it means for any bullpen arm for future seasons, but he did go through that midseason swoon. It was bad, dude. In June, he could not get guys out. He was consistently giving up 1, 2, 3 earned runs. And since then, he's been great. So
This
overall,
goes to T-Bone's point, though. Don't pay for relievers. You can develop them.
I typically like to have one or two veterans out there. That doesn't mean you have to pay them a multi-year.
That's an Andrew
10 plus
Kittredge veteran that you
That's
can
the
go
deal
get.
I would
Phil
do.
Maton, Andrew Kittredge. They've been really good on those deals. Much less so on the multi-year contracts.
But they're developing these guys, and I think if there's one area that they've been successful at, it's been developing bullpen arms this season.
All right, so Leahy is in. Do you guys have anybody else that you would like to nominate?
I'd like to put Riley O'Brien in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Getting
I'm
aggressive. I respect it. Let's go.
Look, it might just be too optimistic with the save that he got yesterday, but I mean, go back to July 6th since we've seen him. He's given up one earned run in, what is that?
12 and 2/3 innings,
Yeah.
15 strikeouts, 6 walks. I had this pulled up because I was going to nominate him as well, but I didn't think you would.
It's 10 outings. I mean, everything I've seen from him, he's got the swing and miss stuff. He's used in high leverage situations. He's had one game that got out of hand, which was the Dodgers one a couple of nights ago. I think Riley O'Brien's got the makings of somebody that you could use late innings or potentially close. So Riley O'Brien's my nominee.
I support the nominee. I mean, I still somewhat not convinced he knows where the ball's going, but he
Some of
doesn't
the
know
best
where it's going.
closers feel that way.
Exactly. Jason Mott couldn't see home plate when he would throw home, so you know
To be
what?
honest, Helsley a lot of the time didn't this year.
Yeah, the dude was walking the first batter he'd see, and then he'd get 3 strikeouts.
I
Yeah,
read a
that's
nerdy
fair.
piece today on the best bullpens in baseball, and his command was like one of the worst.
Yeah, it was bad.
So,
but yeah,
I like Riley O'Brien.
I agree. Riley O'Brien deserves to be in. And again, like I still don't think he knows where it's going. That may not necessarily be a bad thing.
No.
All right. Do you guys have anybody else that you'd like to nominate?
I'd like to nominate the guy that helped us win the Paul DeYoung trade, Matt Swanson.
Wow, we have not nominated the guy that I thought was the obvious one, but go ahead.
I was
Oh,
going to go
I
with
thought
him.
JoJo was in
I
already.
actually thought JoJo was already
Can
in.
we all just agree JoJo Romero's in?
Yeah.
Well, he's your freaking closer right now, so he pretty much has to be in.
Also, he's been awesome. He has a 2 ERA on the season, quietly.
And
Go
then
ahead,
I'd like
Unbelievable. I
Give me
mean,
your Swanson take.
Matt Swanson has been good for the Cardinals all year long. In 32 and 2/3 innings, 2.76 ERA, striking out 8.5 batters per 9. Oh, by the way, just mowed through Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers and struck out the side. That may have been the only bullet point I needed. So, yeah, Swanson's in for me.
Yeah, T-Bone mentioned it. He won the Cardinals already won that trade.
Yeah.
More outings for the Cardinals than what Paul DeYoung had with the team that he was traded for.
All right, so we've got at least 4 members of the Cardinals
All right,
bullpen
I
circle
got
of
one
trust.
more. I'd like to nominate Ryan Fernandez.
No. I do have one other that I'll throw in here real quick. We can have a discussion about it. If you guys disagree, that's totally cool.
I wonder if it's the one that I was thinking, but then I decided against it.
Gordon Graceffo.
Oh,
No.
not him.
So he's had one bad outing since his most recent call-up. Since June 22nd, he has had 7 appearances for the Cardinals. In those 7 appearances, he's gone 13 innings. He's given up 5 earned runs. 4 of them came in that outing against the Padres. He has a 3.4 ERA. His FIP is 2. 13 strikeouts in his last 13 innings. 2 walks to go along with 9 hits. He's quietly been really good coming out of the bullpen. He's throwing 96, 97 with regularity for the Cardinals right now. I'm not saying he has to be a member of the Bullpen Circle of Trust, but he is absolutely working his way toward that mix.
I want to see a little bit more. If by the end of this month, if we're continuing that stretch, then I think I'd probably be in on that one.
Yeah, I'm with Alex. I still want to see more. Maybe it's me from his early season is still stuck in the back of my mind. But anytime I see Graceffo coming out of the pen, my cheeks get a little tight. So
That
I would
Padres
say
game
no.
put a bad taste in my
We have
mouth.
4 members right now of the Cardinals
do
Bullpen
you
Circle
wanna
of Trust.
nominate?
JoJo Romero,
I was joking. I was
Kyle
gonna say
Leahy,
Granillo.
Matt Swanson, and Riley O'Brien. Those are your 4 members of the
I saw
Cardinals
Granillo's
Bullpen
name,
Circle
and
of
I'm
Trust.
like, maybe him. And then I looked at it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
no.
you forgot about his most recent outing.
And he got destroyed by the Dodgers.
That one wasn't his fault. That was the Fernandez's fault. Put him in a bad spot.
With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Questions and answers in 15 minutes. What's the number 1 storyline for the 2025 college football season? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here. They Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals beat the Dodgers yesterday 5-3. So they take 2 of 3 from LA and win the season series against the Dodgers. They are off tonight. They'll be back in action tomorrow night when they start a 3-game set with the Chicago Cubs here in St. Louis. Matthew Boyd will be on the mound for Chicago. Michael McGreevy will get the start for St. Louis. 7:15 will be first pitch tomorrow night. The Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. CMLondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alex, I'm watching this SEC documentary Any Given Saturday on Netflix right now. It's been enjoyable. It's one of the things that we watch whenever we're doing work at the end of the day. So it's not like the greatest thing you've ever seen, but I like it. It's fun. You get to relive some of the games from a year ago. You get to learn a little bit more about the inner workings of some of these programs. Vandy, Arkansas, South Carolina, Auburn, all prominently featured on this thing. Florida featured as well. And as I'm watching this, all I can think to myself is, oh my God, the quarterback play in the SEC is going to be one of the biggest storylines heading into the 2025 season. Because you see, like, Lenore Sellers prominently featured on this. DJ Lagway, you see how he ends up earning the starting job at the University of Florida. And that's not to mention Garrett Nussmeier at LSU decided to come back this year. You see kind of the inner workings of how that deal came into place, which is fascinating considering he apparently shares an agent. The same agent for Garrett Nussmeier is the agent of LSU head coach Brian Kelly. So they were negotiating. Kelly was negotiating with his own agent to retain the services of his starting quarterback. Wild times in college football. Arch Manning is going to be a starter this year. Marcel Reed comes back, who was really good at Texas A&M a year ago. Alex, last year heading into the season, one of the big question marks was, is this conference going to have the quarterback play that is necessary in order to rise up a level, to have a legit national title contender? The answer was mostly no. Kind of took until the second half of the season before that really developed. I think for me, that's the biggest storyline heading into 2025. It's back. Quarterback play in the SEC has returned. It's going to be at an extremely high level. And when you have high-level quarterback play in that conference, combined with what we know is going to be elite-level defense every year, that's when you get the best of the best. And you're going to see 4 or 5 teams from this conference that are top 10-ish teams in all of college football. That's my number one storyline.
And that's what makes college football most exciting, when you have that top of level of quarterback play. When it comes to like Heisman watch, you're talking about all of these quarterbacks. One of mine is just how open college football feels. Like, almost, it feels like every season you're talking about Georgia being the undisputed favorite in college football, or Alabama's been for the longest time. I mean, I know Ohio State just won the college football championship, but they're ranked second in the top 25 rankings. Like, it feels like there's 7 or 8 teams that could be viewed as a team that could go on and win the championship this year. And with college football playoffs expanded, your point about the quarterback play and how exciting it is, specifically 11 SEC teams in the top 27, that's my storyline. It feels like this is about as wide open of college football in terms of competition level as we've seen in some time, which kind of goes into the season as a big question mark, which is always fun when you're trying to examine teams against each other.
I don't think there's an obvious, this team is clearly the best. And I think that goes back to the quarterback play, because Texas, new quarterback, everybody believes Arch Manning is going to be great. But if his name was Arch Miller instead of Arch Manning, I don't know that there would be that same amount of faith. It's the Manning name that really allows for that. He was good, but not elite when given the opportunity a year ago. Same thing is true at Georgia, new quarterback play there. Ohio State, new quarterback there. Alabama, new quarterback there as well. So you have some of these contenders that you look at and you're like, they're going to be great as long as the quarterback play is up to snuff, and you just don't know. And then there's the secondary contenders that you say, all right, if the rest of the roster can meet what Lenore Sellers is going to be at South Carolina, for example, I feel pretty good about that team. You just don't know how it's going to coalesce around him. So I agree with you. Vegas agrees with you as well, Alex. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams that are somewhere between 6-1 and 15-1 to win the college football national championship this year. There is nobody better than 6-1 to begin the season.
And that was kind of mine, because mine was the lack of like the certainty quarterbacks at your typical not just Power 4 conferences, but like your top-heavy national title contenders. Like you think of Alabama last year, they had Milroe that was returning. Dylan Gabriel was a known commodity. Now, we weren't expecting that at Oregon, maybe, but you at least had seen him play before, and you said, okay, that's a good quarterback. So at least I know at minimum Oregon's getting a good quarterback, and he was able to take his game to the next level. The teams that I typically think of about Georgia, Alabama, the Ohio State University, Oregon even this year, they have a whole bunch of unknowns right now at the quarterback position. And I think that's what makes this college football season so fascinating, why it adds to why it feels so open, and why you look at some teams like South Carolina, who's got their quarterback, Florida, who's got DJ Lagway, where you're looking at them going, boy, could this be the year that they become kind of the quote-unquote surprise and could sneak their way maybe into the college football playoff? And I think that's good for the sport itself.
Yeah, it makes it compelling when the second-tier teams have the quarterbacks and the top-tier teams have the quarterback questions, because that's how you can close the gap. That's how you get to those second-tier teams pulling off upsets. That's how you get to those top-tier teams being really good but flawed. That's, in my opinion, the ideal college football season, is when you have Alabama, but no Bryce Young, right? You have Texas, but with Quinn Ewers, who has to make it through the season. Those are the ways that I find these kinds of seasons to be so compelling. If you're looking today at the top contenders for the Heisman Trophy, this time last year, we did something similar. You start to familiarize yourself with kind of where the national landscape is, college football-wise. I remember we looked at the Heisman Trophy list last year, and I asked you, Alex, how many of these players have you heard of before? And the answer was like 2 of the top 10. Almost everybody that was in the top 10 was like, dude, these guys are complete unknowns. It's the opposite this season. The Heisman candidate that is the leading favorite, according to Vegas, to win the trophy this year is Arch Manning. I think that's kind of crazy.
I do too. It's name recognition.
Correct. If they didn't have him up there, then they would get all of the bets on him. And then if he does end up being as good as expected, then they're liable for a ton of money. Number 2 on this list is Cade Klubnik. T-Bone, you love him, right?
No, I'm not a Klubnik fan. I think that guy's so overrated.
Wow. He is tied with Garrett Nussmeier, who I mentioned, the quarterback returning from LSU.
He reminds me of, what was the quarterback that was first at Clemson, and then this year was like Florida State? Uliangule.
Oh, DJ.
Where he started at Clemson, and I saw like one game where I was like, oh, wow, maybe this is the guy. And then from there on, I was like, oh, no way.
I think Klubnik is a little better than him, but yeah, I could see the comparisons there. Nussmeier tied with Klubnik, and then Jeremiah Smith, the absolute superstar wide receiver for Ohio State. He was a freshman last year. He's back for 2 more years in college football, despite being ready for the NFL today. He's at 11-1. Ty Simpson, the quarterback that is expected to start this season for Alabama, he's at 16-1, and then Lenora Sellers at 17-1. Carson Beck, who we all know and some love, at 18-1. Drew Aller also at 18-1, the quarterback for Penn State. Julian Sayin, who may or may not be the starting quarterback for Ohio State, he seems to be the favorite at 20-1, along with Sam Leavitt, the quarterback that got Arizona State to the college football playoff a year ago. And then beyond that, some of the interesting candidates here. John Matier with Oklahoma. He's the transfer quarterback there. Gunnar Stockton, the new quarterback at Georgia. We saw him at the end of last season when Carson Beck went down. DJ Lagway, 28-1 DJ Lagway. Those are some odds that I would at least, throw a dime or two
I'd be going on Sellers, plus 1,700.
Yeah. Another guy that I really like is Marcel Reed with Texas A&M. 35-1. Feels like some pretty big odds for a team that I think has a real chance to make it to the college football playoff. He is a dual threat quarterback for Texas A&M. That's interesting to me. Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame, the St. Louis native, is 40-1.
Wow.
They do not have a superstar quarterback this year. He is the driving force behind them being a legit college football playoff contender this year. I kind of like those odds as well. I'll give you a super deep cut option for you. Fernando Mendoza, quarterback that transferred this year to Indiana. I do not think that he will win the Heisman. Let me say that again. I do not think that he will win the Heisman, but he's 50-1 to win the Heisman this year. Indiana has a fantastic head coach, and there's going to be more spotlight on Indiana this year because of what they did a year ago. Fernando Mendoza is a guy that I really wanted at Mizzou, and 50-1 odds are interesting.
That was the one that you wanted Mizzou to get, didn't you, before Prabula?
Bo Prabula is at 100-1 odds.
That's just
to win the Heisman.
Ooh, what's Sam Horn?
He's not listed.
Oh,
only Mizzou guy on the list is.
There's some
Prabula.
deep odds for you.
Yeah, especially since it sounds like he may not even be the starting quarterback.
Did you guys have anybody on that list that really stood out to you?
I like,
Alex, you mentioned
I
the
like
Sellers
Sellers, and I know it's kind of a chalky answer because he's, sixth on that list, but I'm surprised he's as low as he is versus some of these guys like the Alabama quarterback we haven't even seen, and yet he's above Sellers. And Sellers had, 18 passing and 7 rushing touchdowns last year? That's the one that I'd put money on.
I would have Sellers over Klubnik and Nussmeier, personally.
Yeah,
I'd have him top 3.
I don't know if I would have him over those guys just because, South Carolina, I like Sellers. I just know they're not going to have the same talent as the other guys that you just mentioned there. Even though Sellers is good, that is part of the driving force to where I kind of worry about him. Sure, he's going to look great. There's probably also going to be 4 games where you would look at his roster and go, boy, he could really use more support. The guy I like, and he's not a quarterback, so it's a lot harder, is Jeremiah Smith. You mentioned he's a stud. He did that as a freshman. He's only going to get better. And if he gets just adequate quarterback play from whoever it is that wins that job at Ohio State, he's going to put up huge numbers, and I could see him becoming the Heisman candidate.
If you're going that route, though, I would rather just put the money on Ryan Williams, who's also a superstar. He was a freshman wide receiver last year at Alabama. He's 40 to 1. So if I'm going to try for this wide receiver long shot, instead of getting, the 16 or 11 to 1 odds on Jeremiah Smith,
I'd go 40
take the 40 to 1 odds on Ryan Williams at Alabama, who I know is going to be really good, which should put up huge numbers. I do think he's a little less likely to win it than Jeremiah Smith, but the 40 to 1 versus the 11 to 1, I'd probably just lean that direction.
I'd put them all together as a parlay.
What?
I don't.
You would lose.
No, not all of them. I'd make parlays with all of those included in them. Each one gets a different 5-leg parlay.
I think you can. I think
individually. I'm going to bet 1 Heisman and then add parlays with it. You can't do that with futures?
No.
Oh, well, that's stupid.
What?
Coming up next, questions and answers. I've got some questions for Alex. We'll do that here in BK and Ferrario. 439-964-6. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers, or youtube.com/101 ESPN STL. That is where Bill, Gator, Master Sin, Tanner's skid marks.
Gross.
All chatting over there in the YouTube chat, youtube.com/101 ESPN STL. Let's get to this from the 314. Kyle Leahy as a starter. Seems like catchers playing everywhere other than catching. Third baseman in the outfield. Shortstops playing anything but shortstops. How about just getting a starting pitcher instead, and instead of hopefully converting Leahy? Why do the Cardinals always seem to want to make a player something that they were not originally? I hope Bloom doesn't continue to do this stuff.
Third baseman in the outfield.
Walker, technically.
Oh, geez, we're still on that. There's still people that say Jordan Walker's a third baseman.
Yes.
Okay.
He can't move well
And
in the outfield.
you've got a catcher in the outfield right now.
No, that one's fair.
They've been trying that for like 3 years.
You had a shortstop/second baseman in the outfield last year.
Who won a Gold Glove?
You have.
What was that?
What do people consider
Utility
Brendan
man.
Donovan to be? Tommy Edvin.
Oh, I thought you were talking Brendan Donovan.
Oh, yeah. Donovan playing wherever. Gorman was a third baseman playing at second base. Contreras is a catcher playing first base. Guys, this is what teams do.
I was gonna say, don't all Major League Baseball teams do this?
Also, if you didn't want to convert a reliever to a starter, I hope you're not enjoying the Matthew Liberatore experience.
I wish this team would just draft a damn right fielder and play him in right field.
Draft good players, get them to the big leagues, play them where you have a position that's open.
What's funny about it too is every position player that's drafted is typically a shortstop.
Yeah, that's why. And this is why I hate. And I'm glad BK said that. What he just said too. I hate this. Oh, you got a third baseman playing second base. When you draft a player and it has a position by him, you're not drafting the position. You're drafting a ball player is what you're doing. And a ball player can play wherever you need him to play. Now, some guys are limited, right? You're not going to throw Gorman in the outfield. I know,
Good though.
Well,
If Matt Adams played it, anybody
I
could.
know. I know Matheny tried that, but I hate when I hear that. Oh, you got this right fielder that should be a third. No, he was drafted as a ball player, and they put him at what's probably his best position.
Text line brings up a great point. Bryce Harper's a catcher, right? He was
What?
drafted as a catcher.
Was he?
Yes, Bryce Harper was
Mason
a catcher.
Wynn was a pitcher.
originally. Yep, that's true.
Yeah. Kenley Jansen was drafted as a catcher.
Exactly.
And he's pitching.
Kyle Schwarber, catcher.
Yeah, that
Jake
one.
Wallman in the NHL still a forward, and he plays defense.
See? Yeah, exactly.
It's not the same thing as like a running back converting to a corner, or which did
Travis
happen
Hunter's
occasionally
doing
in the-
wide receiver and corner.
Did you see the Devontae Adams quote the other day? Basically said like, hey, listen, I think Travis Hunter's incredibly talented, and I believe he might be able to do this, where he can play both corner and wide receiver at a high level. He said his fear is he's going to get hurt because his body will start to break down, and as you try to, tackle Derrick Henry, for example, that is going to impact your ability to stay on the field and have a shorter career because of you doing it this way.
Just don't
I found it to
tackle.
be really
Don't
interesting.
tackle Derrick Henry. Tell the safety that's your guy.
Touche.
You just push guys out of bounds.
Yeah, I get the smaller guy.
Sometimes I have to check these names.
You might need glasses.
No, I have to check the names to make sure that I can say them on the air.
Oh, okay.
Milstat Meathammer. How come
You can say that.
How come Nathan Church gets no mention for the future? Dude is absolutely raking in Memphis, and he's only 25 years old.
Because all three of us just had to Google Nathan Church's name.
No, I've heard Kyle Reese talk about him. The honest answer is because he resembles so much of what the Cardinals have had before at this level, and then they don't give them a chance. Remember last year's version of this was Kaepernick?
Mm-hmm. He's on the 40-man. Mm-hmm. I think still. He may have been put on waivers. I have no idea.
There's been no history of him having this kind of success. And now suddenly in 2025, he's having a ton of success. So I'm cool with him getting an opportunity in September. Like, call up Nathan Church and send down or DFA Hampson.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Cool with
like,
that.
yeah, I'm fine with it. But I mean, we've also only seen him play 44 games at the AAA level. So, like, it's not like this guy's been in AAA for the last 4 years like Luke and Baker and you haven't seen him yet. But yeah, I mean, I don't need to see Garrett Hampson. So bring up Nathan Church. I don't care.
Hell, Kaepernick, by the way, is playing better lately. Bring up Kaepernick. I'm fine with it. Their answer would be they're left-handed as opposed to Hampson, who's right-handed. Hampson doesn't hit anybody, so whatever. It doesn't matter. It's my honest opinion.
Well, yeah, it's not wrong. Yeah, you're right.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. Guys, it's Jam here.
Hey, Jim.
Bills versus the Lions in the Super Bowl. Do you agree or disagree?
Bills, Lions.
Disagree.
Yeah, I don't see the Lions getting there.
I don't either.
I think the Lions do what they do almost every year. They give you at least a playoff push, maybe the second round, and then after that, they're gone.
Here's a question for you. If I said I'm eliminating the Eagles as an answer, Who are you picking to come out of the NFC?
If you're taking the Eagles out of it, I would take the Lions.
Oh. See, I still don't think I'd go Lions.
Eagles feel like the overwhelming favorite this year in the NFC in a way that we really haven't had in that conference in a while.
I can't bet against that roster right now. Now, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if Saquon stays healthy. Do they lose a wide receiver?
Sure.
But like on paper, it's just impossible to bet against Eagles, just like it was to bet against the Chiefs for so many years.
Yeah. I'm going Rams would be my answer if it's not if it's not the Eagles. I know Stafford's back's like an issue.
He's getting an epidural, man.
They also
think it's
have
being
no
overstated.
secondary whatsoever to speak of, but I'm sure that'll be fine.
And it's just Puka.
They
It's
were
fine.
the only team that pushed the Eagles last year in the
Adams.
playoffs. Yeah.
It's just Puka.
I think
How was Devontae
we're
last year?
sleeping on the Rams. I think the Rams will be better. Yeah.
People are going to be asking how's DK Metcalf after this season, and I'm going to be like, dude, I saw a video of Aaron Rodgers trying to move yesterday. Ooh.
I saw a video of him just walking, and he looked miserable.
He looks like he's 100.
Yeah.
Not good. If I had to pick somebody other than the Eagles in the NFC, you guys ready for my answer? You're
How
never
about
going to
them
believe
Cowboys?
it.
The Packers.
Yeah, that's my answer.
Of course it is.
I thought it was going to be Commanders.
I would go Packers 1, and I would probably go Commanders 2. I don't actually believe that, but because I think
those
the
are my
Eagles will win
picks.
it. But those would be my picks.
I would go Lions, Commanders. Packers aren't even in my top 5.
I would probably go Rams, Commanders, Lions would be my top 3.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service X line. Final question here from the 573. Do you guys think that the Cardinals are confident enough on the players they wanted to evaluate this year that since Arenado's on the IL, we will see J.J. Weatherholt called up before the end of the season?
Yeah, we're going to see J.J. Weatherholt in September. I don't think he's going to called up before that because it's not like, I think they would prefer to play Gorman for the next 4 weeks before they get to a Weatherholt decision.
I'm not confident on that.
I'm not either. I think it's the logjam with Arenado back that makes it so much harder to try and figure out how you're playing him when you've got Arenado, Gorman, Wynn, Donovan, Sajasi. Is there anybody that I forgot there? That's 5 for 3 spots. How are you going to work Weatherholt into getting everyday at-bats? And if you're not going to get him everyday at-bats, you might as well just stay at AAA.
Yeah. And 40-man.
Oh, that's true.
I will not hear the 40-man.
I know. I'm with you guys.
I got 6 guys I can cut from that right now.
That can't actually be the reason. It can't. It's not allowed to be. But the trickle-down effect of you not calling him up this year would be that you can hold him off of the 40-man in the offseason, and then if he makes the team coming out of camp, you place him there. But you get the entire offseason where you can utilize that spot for somebody else. It is not the deciding factor. But if you choose not to for other reasons, that's a byproduct of it, which isn't necessarily a bad byproduct to have.
I
Again,
would view
it
that.
cannot be the only reason.
I agree,
It can't be a top
but
3 reason.
I don't
be
even
a
be top
reason.
10.
Yeah, it should never be a reason.
I have learned now, especially the Luke and Baker. We talked about what's the lesson from Luke and Baker. It is if they use our 40 man, it is the laziest answer I've ever heard from the St. Louis Cardinals.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we got some NFL quick hitters. But next, Chaim Bloom is getting some national credit for what's taking place in Boston right now. Is it reshaping our opinion on what he could do for the Cardinals? Talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis 101 ESPN is driven by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm.
Alex, have you looked at the American League standings recently?
Can't say that I have, Brandon.
The Boston Red Sox are 64-52. Remember when Devers was traded and everybody, including myself, was like, oh boy, Boston, you better start acting like a big market team because this is a disaster. You just traded your star and now you're about to fall out of the wild card race. This is not going to go well for them. Well, I look like a real bumbling idiot right now. They have the same record currently as the Houston Astros. They are 2 games back of the Detroit Tigers for the second best record in the American League currently. The Toronto Blue Jays are 4 games up on them for the number 1 record in the American League. So things are going well for Boston currently. They're getting a lot of praise nationwide, and yesterday they signed one of their young stars in Roman Anthony to a long-term contract extension. This got the attention of Foul Territory. AJ Pierzynski had the following to say about their success.
He stunk, though, Kip. He stunk at his job. You know why he stunk? Because he drafted all these guys that they're now signing. He traded for a lot of these guys. He rebuilt. His job was to trade Mookie Betts and rebuild the farm system. He did both of those. And they're like, yeah, sorry, Chaim. You can go to St. Louis and try it now because he's going to try it under John Mozeliak. So the Cardinals are like, man, we might have a steal here because I don't know if you know Chaim at all, but I've talked to him a bunch of times. Some people don't like him, but I think he's great. I think he's awesome, and he's great at what he does. He knows how to draft guys. He knows how to develop guys. He knows how to put together a big league roster.
All right, so that was AJ Pierzynski, who's a big fan of the Cardinals' next president of baseball operations, and Chaim Bloom. Can we go through their team real quick, Alex, to talk about who he does or does not deserve credit for?
Sure. From
the Red Sox experience right now. Roman Anthony, drafted in the 2nd round in 2022. Would you agree that as the president of baseball operations from 2020 to 2023, Chaim Bloom deserves a little bit of credit for that?
Sorry, that timeline doesn't really check out. He was a comp. I think he and another one were a comp pick from 2 guys that they let walk in free agency.
There you go. Jarren Duran, drafted in the 7th round in 2018. Most of his development took place with Chaim Bloom as the president of baseball operations. Do you think Chaim Bloom deserves a little bit of credit for Jarren Duran?
I would say so.
Sure, yeah.
They traded for Wilyer Abreu in 2022. A trade, by the way, that was highly unpopular in Boston at the time because that was the year where they did a little bit of buying, a little bit of selling. I believe they traded their catcher, if I'm not mistaken, for William Abreu.
For Christian Vasquez?
Yep.
Oh, what a steal.
Would you say he deserves credit for that?
Yeah.
They got Masataka Yoshida in the international market.
there's some that guy can hit, but he basically signed a guy that can't play, so they're very limited. I wouldn't put that one on his positive resume.
He's been terrible this year, but the last couple of years, 289 and a 280 hitter, hitting about 15 home runs a year. Decent.
I'd take that.
Decent, all things considered.
Not for the money they're paying, but I'd take that. Good complimentary piece.
Rafaela was acquired in international free agency in 2017 when he was like 15 years old, and then was developed primarily under Chaim Bloom. Fair to give him a little bit of credit?
Sure.
Connor Wong, traded for in February of 2020, one of the first trades that they made under Chaim Bloom.
Was it? He wasn't a part of the Betts trade, was he?
No, I don't think so. No.
I
don't
think
think
actually.
he was acquired from the Dodgers.
I think he
so yeah,
was.
maybe
Him,
he was.
Downs, and Verdugo.
All right, well, he still lost that trade.
Well, sure, but you always lose that trade. But at least you got something.
It's about 80% of their current position players.
Backup catcher.
Maybe Chaim's good at this.
Is this where I respond?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was it.
I thought there was more to that statement. Maybe Chaim's good at this. Yeah, I would say he is good at this. Like, the decisions
A lot
for
of trades, by the way.
The decisions for Chaim, meaning he's aggressive and creative, like what we talked about yesterday. The decisions for him always go back to, for people, oh, well, he traded away Mookie Betts. But you made...
He does deserve criticism for that. I would have said no and said I'll resign.
Sure, but we all have a boss, and
Or
that's
at
what
least
happened.
bring that up in the interview process.
Yeah, we all have a boss, and that happens. But at least he made lemonade out of lemons. You know, like he was given a bad situation. The Mookie Betts thing went down, but he took it and he built it from something. And to be able to identify the players through the draft, and this is like second round or deeper in the draft. This isn't first round, which typically is where the Cardinals seem to draft, second round or deeper. He's identifying trades, as Tebow mentioned. What a freaking steal to get a stud for a backup catcher in Christian Vasquez. Like, this is what Chaim is this is what his strength is, identifying talent, being aggressive, and being creative. All three of those were weaknesses for this front office regime for the last 10 years, I'd say. So, yeah, I'd say he's pretty good at this, and you should be looking. Now, it took him a while to get to this point, and it wasn't very fun to get there. But guess what, guys? Cardinals fans haven't been having fun for the last 3 years. Would you at least like to see the light at the end of the rainbow?
Okay, I'm so glad you got there, because that was my next follow-up. He took over in Boston in 2020. They're seeing the fruits of his labor in 2025. He got here in 2024. I'll give him credit for the first couple of seasons. He kind of came through, cycled through some stuff, changed some things in the development system. So let's say they've already gone through the first 2 years. Let's just be kind. They've gone through the first 2 years of the Chaim Bloom plan, right? So that knocks off 2020 and 2021 from his time in Boston. So if you were on a similar trajectory as the Red Sox were, that would mean 4 years from now, you're looking at 2029 being where the Boston Red Sox are today.
Well, hey, that's when I said they'll next be in the playoffs.
2030 with a lockout.
Let's give
Oh, we're going to give baseball.
Oh, you're going to say baseball's going to figure this out? Okay, good.
His time there, in 2021, they were good and went to the ALCS, but beyond that, 78, 81 wins. How do you think Cardinals fans would react if over the next 3 years they went 78 and 84, 78 and 84, 81 and 81, and then in 2029 pushed? What do you think? What do you think that looks like here in St. Louis and feels like here in St. Louis?
I not
Did
happy.
you say light at the end of the rainbow?
Yeah, I did. Is
that a thing?
No.
It was supposed to be light at the end of the tunnel or pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So I mixed and matched. It's fine.
Kind of like when you do parlays.
I do mix and match my parlays. By the way, you can parlay that. You guys are just crazy. You just don't understand how to bet. Anyway, I mean, I don't think people are happy about it, but I think there's a little bit more optimism with a different person in charge than what it's been in the past.
Does that sustain through 2 years that are similar to what we've had over the last 2 years, though?
I don't think so. I think the pressure cooker might be on.
How long does he get as a honeymoon?
I think he needs 4 years as a honeymoon. I think it takes 4 years to kind of turn through everything. I think he'll get probably 2.5.
See, I think there's more leniency than that.
I give him 1.
I think one might be a little strong. But I can see
if they're not good in 2027, if we play baseball, Like, fans are going to start to turn.
Yeah, but if he's wheeling and dealing in terms of making moves off of the roster and going out and getting younger players, there's a little bit more optimism. There's a little bit more light at the end of the rainbow.
I don't know how long that lasts, man. In this market, it's different. We've talked about this before.
It's a different person, though. It's not Mo. If this was Mo, I'd say people are pissed. But now there's at least a little bit more leniency for somebody new.
I don't know how much leniency there actually is. Yeah. I think that you get into a spot where in this market, because it is the number one storyline in town, there is no football, no NFL team. Like there's no distraction from the fact that the Cardinals are not good. When it is the summertime, it is purely the Cardinals until July 1st. Then the Blues come back in, and then it is purely the Cardinals. And if they continue to do this for another 2, 3, or 4 seasons, I don't know how much people will really buy into it by year 2, 3, and 4. I think next year, there is a true grace period. That first year of him taking over, people will be understanding, I believe. This is all my perspective on it. If you feel differently, that's cool. But my perspective on it is I think that in that first year, people will buy into it. They'll believe it. They'll see the light at the end of the rainbow or tunnel, depending on your perspective. And then year 2, people will want to start to see, some results. And then year 3, if you don't really start to see results, I think there will be a point in time where people say, all right, so you were here in 2024. You were named GM basically in 2025. You had that first year as a grace period. 2027, you had as like the second year. Your guys were now here. Now it's 2028. Shouldn't year 5 of you being in the organization, shouldn't we start to be good? And I think that's a fair perspective, personally.
I think after year 3, if there's not signs of success, then I can understand frustration setting in, because by that time you've been in the organization 5 years, like you mentioned, but just 1 year, that's on the fans if you get frustrated with it at that point. And I'm not trying to point fingers with that one, but
Alex calling out the fan base.
Wow, clip that.
He said you're spoiled.
No, it's not spoiled, but you have to understand.
He said you're petty.
You have to understand that this doesn't just fix like that, because you don't have an ownership that's willing to fix that quick.
Alex said you aren't the best fans in baseball.
Never said that. Now you're putting words in my mouth. If you're going to sit here and say, well, this team should be good next year, and if you're not, well, Chaim's not good at his job.
I don't think I'm saying 2027, and let's assume they're playing baseball in 2027, which is a big assumption to make.
But he hasn't even been able to make the decisions.
Well, see,
he will, though, this offseason. This offseason, he's making decisions.
So you're giving him one offseason to make a decision. If you're thinking 2027, though.
Yeah, so this offseason leads into 2026, and then another offseason leads into 2027. That's 2 full offseasons, including this year where you were behind the scenes making some decisions at the minor league level. At that point in time, I do think it's fair to hold him to a higher standard. I don't think it takes 5 years to rebuild in baseball anymore. I don't. I think that you can, between international free agency, the trade market, guys that are already in your system, you've had back-to-back years where you had a top 10 selection. I don't think it should take 5 years to make this team into a 87-win team that gets into the playoffs. Look at the Brewers, dude. The way that they've been able to overhaul this thing. They lost just over the past calendar year now. Their closer, their cleanup hitter, and one of their top starters. And they just keep on chugging along. And they're on pace for 95 wins this year. It should not take you 5 years to get back to being some level of competitive. I don't believe, at least.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I don't think it should take them 5 years. I think where their pitching is at is what's going to take them long. But you can kind of piece that together. I mean, they've kind of gotten away by doing that the last couple of years where they've just been kind of putting it together. Yeah,
it's piecemeal.
Yeah, and they did a good job of targeting specific things that they like Griffin Canning before he blew out his Achilles was very good for them, and they targeted him for a specific reason.
Cubs, same thing.
You can try and piece this thing together until you can start to develop your own homegrown pipeline like the Milwaukee Brewers have. But yeah, I think I agree. I think he's got 2 off seasons, and then it'll be a pressure cooker. I think there might be some in the fan base that will say, hey, Mo left him such a bad hand that he might need more time. But I agree. When you're the top story in town and you're viewed at not just an expectation to get to the playoffs, but be a true contender year in and year out, the fan base isn't going to just go through this rebuild that takes 5 years. He's going to have to figure it out. And the other thing, too, you said wheeling and dealing earlier, Alex, and he's going to have his chance to do that the start of this offseason. you don't have to wheel and deal and get guys that are at like low A or high A. You can go out and target pieces that are close to the major leagues, whether that's pitching, more position players, whatever it may be. Even hell, you could do a 1-for-1 swap at the major league level if you wanted to, if it fit right. It doesn't just have to be I'm going for that long-term plan. He can piece this thing together a lot quicker with these trades in about the 2 off seasons that BK was saying.
And that's where people get frustrated if you don't do anything like that. If you still sit in the wait and see period, that's where the frustration will really take over and not give him as much leeway as you'd think.
From the 314, I'm a spoiled petty fan here, building a Ferrario Pinata. No, it doesn't actually have candy in it. It's just full of salt from Ferrario's dried tears.
I don't know what any of that means.
Coming up in 15 minutes, T-Bone has a question about the Cardinals' success against quality opponents. We'll get into that in 15 minutes. NFL Quick Hitters is next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Let's dive into some NFL quick hitters. Let's start out with this. Alex, yesterday, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell was on ESPN because, the NFL now owns 10% of ESPN. T-Bone, I think we've got this audio. And he was asked about the Red Zone channel and what's going to happen with NFL's Red Zone now that ESPN is taking over. Take a listen.
It will be the NFL Red Zone. I don't think fans will see any difference to that. Obviously, in the context of that, though, ESPN purchased the Red Zone name, and they will be able to utilize that for other sports, college football and other things. And I think that could be an exciting thing for our fans also to see a Red Zone maybe in college football or other sports. That's something that they now own and have the ability to do that. But as far as Red Zone, NFL Red Zone, there won't be any changes for our fans.
First of all, great news.
Second off, was Roger doing that at the club? Yeah, a little beat in the background.
Third of all, college football Red Zone? That sounds amazing. Now, it's terrible for my marriage. Horrible. Absolutely horrific for my marriage. But just take my money. Yes, I will absolutely pay for a college football. If you just put Big Ten, SEC, Notre Dame, and a couple of big, Big 12/ACC matchups on there, boy, that sounds wonderful.
I'm surprised it's taken them this long to get this figured out.
Boy, it sucks it's not going to really happen.
What do you mean?
Because they don't have the rights to some of these games. So, when you got a game on, Big Fox
point.
or the Big Peacock game when it's, Illinois versus...
Well, that's why it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Well, we could do this with the SEC.
Yeah, SEC they could. And then a couple
group of
ACC
group of 5 games.
But it won't have the same luster for... Yeah, you won't have some of the Big 12 games or some of the Big 10.
Maybe we'll play a couple of games on there late night.
Get the old Pac-12 after dark. But yeah.
It's genius to do that if you can.
It would
and that's
be
the
great.
hardest part because...
That's a good point. I forgot that you couldn't do this.
Yeah, and that's going to be the toughest part with it.
Right.
But if you do an SEC Red Zone, I'd still be invested in that one.
The tough part is then you're down to just 2 or 3 SEC games, and some of them are stinkers.
It's like the 3 p.m. slate.
Vandy, Missouri.
That's the 3 o'clock slate for the NFL.
What do you think the bulk of fans would be interested in, though? Because I feel like college football has the fans that are dedicated to one team that watch other games, but they watch their team play the one whole game. Do you think there's still interest in watching
NFL?
Clips of it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the NFL, too. I'm a Chiefs fan, but...
I feel like NFL Red Zone is so popular for fantasy football purposes.
There's definitely some truth to that. The other thing that I tend to do is I overestimate how many people are actually watching Red Zone. It's the numbers are really small compared to your typical 3 o'clock CBS game.
Yeah.
It's in the hundreds of thousands, not in the millions.
Yeah.
So the actual audience for the Red Zone channel is not all that big. So it would be much smaller, certainly, Alex, in the college football side of things as well. But could you get an audience for it? Yeah, I think so. And I think it'd be a really good offering for ESPN. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. Curious how our audience would feel about a college football Red Zone channel. We do have our long national nightmare over, Alex, after roughly 24 hours of this story breathlessly being in the news. NFL players can breathe easy. Despite some confusion surrounding a league memo sent to clubs on Tuesday, players will indeed be able to whiff smelling salts during the game this season.
Yes.
Good.
As long as they bring their own stash. Teams just aren't allowed to provide it anymore.
BYOSS.
Bring your own
smelling salts. That's what this is.
This is the dumbest story that I can recall.
So we're banning it, but we're banning the
storyline.
team to do it. You can do it still yourself.
It's just the NFL saying, hey, we're covering our own ass here. There's liability here because if you get a concussion, there's a chance that
that's on you because you made the decision.
The symptoms will not show up. And if we provide the smelling salts, and we knew this, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Concussion, that means that we could be liable for this. So we are stopping. We are giving you the information. If you choose to ignore said information and continue to use the smelling salts, God bless you. That's on you. Just understand, we're not liable for that. So what this means, you can't sue our asses. That's all this was.
Yeah. I'm with you. I can't believe this was a storyline, though. But, yeah.
Hey, man. Good. Smelling salts.
Talk about,
have you ever used them before?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never done it.
Intense.
Really? Yeah. I've never done it.
You see the video clips of hockey players do it and they react like this? Yeah.
Maybe that's something we do.
That's a punishment.
For one show this year.
You have to do a smelling salt before every segment.
I think before every hour. Just
Is it a punishment, or are you making it soft for yourself?
I just don't know if it's good to do smelling salts 12 times over the course of 3 hours.
It's probably fine, man. It's just salt.
Well, it's ammonia.
No, it's a salt.
So I don't know if it's a great idea. We could look into that, see if that's something that would make sense.
I think lame punishment.
Okay.
Okay. Drink some mayo and coffee. Now we're talking.
Oh, God.
Yeah, sure.
So bad.
That means you need to do it, and we'll see how lame it is after every segment when your head starts to hurt. When you got a headache by 12 o'clock and you have 6 more to do.
Then you can take some smelling salts and it'll probably feel better.
No, it actually makes it worse.
All right, boys, we've got some NFL action tonight. You ready for this? Is this game on our...
Didn't we have NFL action last time or last week too? And did anybody watch
was a
that
Hall
one?
of Fame game.
Did anybody watch
count.
it?
This is the first
Actually, yes.
real week
you?
of the preseason.
No, I didn't watch it.
Oh.
It was up like 20% from its
Holy
viewership numbers.
Man, everybody's desperate for football.
Colts versus the Ravens. Anthony Richardson, I think, is taking the field once again.
See if he can throw.
For the Indianapolis Colts. The Bengals versus the Eagles. That's actually a fun one.
Bengals are playing their starters.
I'm sure the Eagles will not. The Raiders versus the Seahawks as well. Again, another fun one. Geno going up against his former team. You've got the return of Pete Carroll in Seattle. That's a fun little storyline there. Any of these matchups interest you at all, Alex?
No, but I'll be watching because baseball's kind of broken the summer for
And
me.
the Cardinals are off.
Yeah.
Oh, the Memphis Redbirds are on tonight.
You know, I'll pop in on that one.
Yeah.
Probably see a couple of weather hold at bats, and then when Quinn Matthews is out after like 4 innings, I'll be done. But yeah, it's football, so I'll check in on it. But then once you go in and you see that the starters take 2 reps and then they're out, it's probably how quick you're going to be out.
Yeah, I have no interest. I don't care about the preseason. Okay, you're playing your starters. You're having the most vanilla playbook out there. It's probably like 3 plays, even though the sheet is about this big. I don't care.
I like watching the first quarter. Yeah.
I'm even out on
I'll
that.
turn it on because I
means
want to see
nothing.
football.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. And then once I see football, once I see Burrow throw a couple of passes, that was good. Now I'm done.
I'll watch the first quarter-ish of some of these games. That's pretty much the extent of it. Preseason's really just for your team. Like, I'll watch the Chiefs on Saturday. They're taking on the Cardinals. I'll watch the first, probably half of that game. Once you get to the third quarter, dude, I don't even know most of those players. And almost none of them will be making the 53-man roster once we get to that point in time. But, yeah, first quarter, I'll tune in occasionally here or
I
there.
saw Mahomes is playing the whole first quarter.
No, he's not. He'll play one drive. They say this every year.
Andy Reid.
Same thing every
Andy
year.
Reid's like the Cardinals, always lying to me.
Every year, Andy says, yeah, starters play the first quarter. 2s will get the second. 3s will get the third. 4s will get the fourth. They don't have 4s. And the 1s will play the first drive, and then they'll be out of the game. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to dive into the junk drawer. T-Bone says he's got a story for us today. The next 30 minutes are basically for T-Bone. Coming up next, he's got a question about the Cardinals' success against quality opponents this year. We'll try to answer it next year on BK and Ferrario.
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update driven by Jenny Londoff Chevrolet and Jenny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals beat the Dodgers yesterday 5-3 as they take 2 of 3 from LA and win the season series against the Dodgers. They are off today as they return home, where tomorrow night they will start a 3-game set with the Chicago Cubs. 7:15 will be first pitch. Matthew Boyd will be on the mound for Chicago. Michael McGreevy will get the start for St. Louis. The Sports Center update was driven by Jenny Londoff Chevrolet and Jenny Londoff Autoplex. CMalondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. So T-Bone came in today and said, guys, I want to talk about the Cardinals' success against winning teams in the National League. I said, okay. What do you got? He said, let's save it. We'll talk about it on the air. Cool. T-Bone, what have you learned in looking into what the Cardinals have done against the winning teams in the National League?
Yeah, so I was curious, when they took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers yesterday and win the season series against the Dodgers. It's like, man, you'd think that'd be a good team if you're going to, win the season series against the almighty Dodgers. And then you think about it, they won the season series against the Philadelphia Phillies. So I looked at the playoff field, how it's currently set right now with the
Phillies,
6 teams.
Mets, Brewers, Cubs, Dodgers, Padres.
Yeah, I looked at, so what is the Cardinals' record against the playoff field right now? And I think that's probably what the playoff field's going to be going into October. It might shuffle around a little bit, but
it'd be surprising considering the Reds have the Mets have a 3-game lead now on the Reds. I think those 6 teams are.
I think those 6 are in. The Cardinals are 19-21 against the NL playoff teams. And the old saying is, when you go up against teams that are above 500 is, hey, just kind of hold serve with them. And then what you really have to make up for is you have to just beat up on the teams that are bad. It's what the Cardinals made a living on when they would play the Pirates 19 times and the Reds when they were in their rebuild in the NL Central. So I thought, man, they're 19-21. How the heck is this team not better? And then I look at what they do against the rest of the National League, and they are 20-20 against the rest of the NL, where we've seen them not score a run against the Pittsburgh Pirates, drop 2 or 3 to the Colorado Rockies, and it just adds to my, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Because you play well against the playoff teams, which means you raise your game when you go up against them. This offense, which had not been good, played pretty well this week against the LA Dodgers and their pitching staff. But then when you play teams that are at a lesser level, you play down to their level. You play down to the Pirates. You play down to the awful, and I mean awful, Colorado Rockies. I don't know what to make of that.
You nailed it, first of all. Their problem is not what they're doing against the quality opponents. Their problem is what they're not doing against the bad teams on their schedule. This season, the Cardinals are 28-23 against teams that are below 500. 28-23. For context, in 2013, Cardinals were pretty good. We would agree, right? 2013, they went 58-29 against those teams. 2022, we would agree. Cardinals were a really good team that year, right? That was the Albert season. They were 59-31 against them. 2015, 100-win team. They were good against everybody, but they were 54-31 against teams that were below 500. Even you go back to like some of the decent but not great teams for the Cardinals. 2019, they went to the NLCS that season. They won 91 games. How'd they do that? Well, they built their record on beating the losing teams on their schedule. They went 49-29 in the 78 games that they played against losing opponents. So they were 20 games above 500 against the losing opponents on their schedule. What was their end of season record? 91-71. Exactly 20 games above 500. All you have to do is what T-Bone said. Hold serve against the quality opponents. We've been talking about this with college football, right? Hey, you pull off an upset, maybe 2 on your schedule, and you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, you're winning 9 or 10 games. That's all it is. It's that simple. In baseball, if you can go 20 games above 500 against the bad teams on your schedule, the teams that are going to finish below 500, if you do that, and the Cardinals have done that, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times since 2011. This is not some like painstakingly difficult thing to accomplish. This season, you're seeing this across Major League Baseball as well. The good teams are doing this. Beat up on the bad teams, hold serve against the good teams, you finish 20 games above 500. That is the formula. The problem for the Cardinals is this year they're 28-23 against teams that are below 500. You're not taking care of business against these lesser than teams on your schedule. And until that changes, they're going to continue being mired in mediocrity.
Yeah, and I don't know what Like, I can't pinpoint
consistency. That's what it is. It's consistency.
And like, is that the youth? Because like
Yes.
most of these guys have been here. You know, most of the guys have played a couple of seasons here to where I can't pinpoint. I don't know if it's fair to pinpoint on the starting pitching, because the way that their starting staff is, they can pitch well enough to beat anybody. They can also pitch bad enough to lose to anybody. And I don't know if that plays a part of it as well. But that is the one thing that I look at this team. And I think this, by the way, is the reminder to me when I see the numbers, not against the bad teams, but more of the playoff teams, that they're kind of holding serve, that they're not that far away. That's what I take away from this. When you look at their position player core, and even with the starting staff that we've talked about, that's not been very good, and they squeezed every drop out of this lemon. They don't seem that far away, because they should be one of these teams that the good teams take advantage of. They should not have this kind of a record against quality teams in the National League.
The difference between the Cubs and the Cardinals this year is very simple. The Cubs are 30-14 against teams that are below 500. The Cardinals are 28-23 in those games.
There you go.
That is a difference of like 6 games in the standings, and you go over to the standings right now, and that's the difference. If you just flipped their record against those lower level opponents, you're basically putting the Cardinals where the Cubs are and the Cubs where the Cardinals are. So it is really simple. How do you fix this? I don't know. That's a harder thing to discuss, and I think it does come down to that consistency. I do think it's youth, T-Bone. I really do. I think it's youth and pitching. The youth means that you're not going to get the same level of competitive at-bats in every game. You're just not. You're going to see ups and downs and ebbs and flows from guys like Alec Burleson, Victor Scott, Jordan Walker, Ivan Herrera, Nolan Gorman. These guys are all still relatively inexperienced at the big league level. And then on the pitching side of things, especially for guys like Andre Palante and Matthew Liberatore, and now adding into the mix somebody like a Michael McGreevy, yeah, you're going to get highs and lows, peaks and valleys from those kinds of pitchers that they're taking their bumps at the big league level, so that way hopefully it pays off down the road. I think that's how you end up in a spot where you're inconsistent. How do you fix that? Like in the offseason, for example, I don't know that this team can. I do agree they're not super far away, but it requires you replacing some of these inexperienced players with really good ones. And I don't think that's something the Cardinals plan to do in the offseason.
I think they can fix it with money, but the problem is they're not going to throw the money at the problem. Because I think the youth, I can see a little bit on the offensive side, but you get another year under your belt, you get the final 2 months of this season, then you go into next year, even if you didn't make a ton of changes, right? Even just based on having more experience at the big league should help cut down some of the inconsistency in the at-bats, as you're referencing there, where you have to fix the problem then would be the pitching staff. And that is the area where you could throw money at the problem, and I think would help stabilize it. But again, that comes down to ownership. What's ownership willing to do? And if ownership's saying cut payroll, well, okay, well, then you're not going to cut down into this issue that we're talking about.
I think this goes back to Ollie's comment about wanting to have a group of guys that's confident every time they step on the field that they're going to beat up on the other team, with the exception of losing a couple of games. And I think you guys nailed it. To me, it's youth. Personnel youth, like the guys that you have right now are young and still looking for that confidence on a consistent basis. But I think it's an overall team roster that's just in flux right now. And until you have a roster that you look at from top to bottom and say teams are going to have a tough time beating us, I don't think you can get there, because you go into those series expecting to win, but you don't have the confidence to back up what you expect.
Somebody on the text line said, guys, the new schedule has exposed us. I don't feel that way. The Cardinals have played 65 games against winning teams this year. That is toward the top in the league, but like league average right now is 62. There's not a massive difference in that regard. And then you look at their record against these teams that have a winning record. They're at 30-35 on the season overall. That's not just the National League. You include the National League and the American League in that. For context, teams that are pretty good, and I think we would all agree, Detroit, Boston, San Diego, and the Yankees. Those 4 teams are very likely to make the playoffs. We would agree with that, right?
Yeah.
The Detroit Tigers are 27-29 against winning opponents. Boston 28-31. San Diego 26-29. The Yankees 30-34. Again, the Cardinals are 30-35 against those opponents. It's not the schedule that's leading to this. It's you not taking care of business against the bad teams. It really is. It's that simple, guys. And the Cardinals haven't done it this year. They really have not done it much, really, in the last decade. It's like 2018 they were good against them. 2019 pretty good. 22 they were good against them, but other than that, since 2016 you've just been mediocre against the bad teams on your schedule. And until that changes, this is where you're going to find yourself. You win 82 games. It's really hard to rack up the wins unless you start building those up against the the bad teams.
And specifically the bad teams in your own division. That's what's plagued you specifically this year with Pittsburgh, the times you've gone up against them. And I think Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken, you struggled when you played them earlier this year. I know you took 2 of 3 against
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Wouldn't qualify just because they're above 500.
Yeah. But Pittsburgh's the one that you look at. And, of course, you look at the one series that couldn't get a hit on.
Yeah,
you couldn't score a run. Yeah.
Arizona would fit into this criteria. The teams in the National League that are under 500 right now are Colorado, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Washington, Atlanta. They've had their struggles against those teams. Leading into and coming out of the break, they've had their struggles against those teams. So until that
Arizona
changes,
one was
it was brutal, man.
That was an ass kicking.
It was absolutely brutal. So they've got to get better against those teams. That's really, like, we're going to talk next year just as we did this year. How do they stack up against those ace-level pitchers? Like, remember early in the season, that's when we started to buy into the offense. It's like, man, all right, they're doing this against Aaron Nola. They found a way to get Tarek Skubal out after like 5 innings. The offense was relentless, even against the top-flight pitchers that they went up against. That's impressive, and it's really important to be able to do that. But the skill that becomes almost even more translatable is, are you able to really destroy these bad teams on your schedule? Was it the Blue Jays that set like a new record over the last 3 days against the Rockies?
Most hits in a series since 1900 against the Rockies.
Yeah, do that. That's the stuff that really shows you your level of your ceiling. It's strange to say that, but like during the regular season, your ceiling is more built upon racking up those big wins against the terrible teams than it is continuing to do that against the good ones, because it's hard to do. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes, we got a new goaltending tier list to discuss. I'll be curious to hear what Alex thinks about this list. But next, it's time for the junk drawer here on BK and Ferrario.
Open it up. The junk drawer with BK and Ferrario.
T-Bone's junk drawer story here in just a moment, but John Denton tweeted this out. Club has since announced the Cardinals are being awarded right-handed pitcher reliever Jorge Alcala from waivers. He was previously with the Boston Red Sox, spent most of the year with the Minnesota Twins. They traded him to Boston after he had allowed 24 runs in 24 innings this year for Boston. Not what you want. ERA north of 9. For the Twins, but he had been pretty good for Boston. He walks the world. That's a bit of an issue for him, but he's got legit swing and miss stuff. Fly ball type of pitcher, big arm, velo in the 97, 98 range for the most part. A legitimately intriguing option for the Cardinals. Now, what I find most interesting about this, maybe, Alcala is a guy that's going to be placed on the Major League roster. He does not have options any longer. That's why he was designated for assignment by the Red Sox. Otherwise, they just would have optioned him down. He also has one more year of control beyond this season. So you learn about him over the next 2 months. If you like the return, cool. Get to keep him next year. If not, you just DFA him the same way that the Red Sox just did. No harm, no foul. You're not really missing out on a whole lot. Who do you guys think they send down for Alcala, though? That's where it gets really interesting. Because you could have a big move here. This could be like again, all of this is speculation. This could be the kind of move that says, all right, they found an arm. We're going to put Kyle Leahy into the rotation, and there's going to be the big move here. Or Rodri Munoz or Fernandez are probably optioned out to AAA. That's the most likely scenario.
Your BKO power could will it to happen. Say the big move aloud.
Or does it make it less likely to happen? I don't know.
I don't think it's happening, so fine saying it.
My guess is...
I think it's Fernandez.
It's either Fernandez, Munoz, or Granios either going down, or I hope this isn't the case, but one of them is injured, and then they put in this claim.
I think it's Fernandez. I think they saw Fernandez in the one outing. They said, this isn't working. Go back to Memphis.
Man,
that's my guess.
What a tough break.
Granillo had a tough night a couple of nights ago, too. It's possible. I don't know what the plan is here, but they have to send somebody down. Somebody brought up the 40-man roster. Don't worry about that. They got plenty of spots open right now. So not super worried.
Now we're down to only 2 spots. What are we going to do, guys?
I'd say claim 2 more guys.
I mean, maybe. They really might.
I keep
really not a whole lot of downside to it if you see interesting arms that are put on waivers.
That's what Armstrong did, right?
Absolutely.
Start claiming dudes on waivers and put them into positions to hopefully succeed.
All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. We'll let you know if we hear anything on who's going down in favor of Jorge Alcala. I also got this from the 314. BK, have you talked about Big Brother yet? Nope, have not seen yesterday's episode just yet. We got to watch it tonight.
It'll be on the podcast coming to you.
We got rid of our cable a little while ago, so we're one day behind on everything because we have to wait till it comes out on streaming. T-Bone, what do you got for us today?
All right, guys, I saw this yesterday on social media. Verified that it's a real thing because it felt like something that would be fake. And I think it is something that can be used for the Pick'em Punishment Challenge this year. Have you guys ever heard of Old Fellas, the ice cream, or Odd Fellas, excuse me, ice cream place? It's in New York, based in New York. I think it's just kind of a smaller.
Odd Fellows, okay.
They have a new ice cream, limited time offering that you can order online that is breast milk ice cream.
I'm not doing that.
I think it could be a punishment.
I am not eating.
And just
it's not even
clear,
a punishment. I'm not eating somebody else's breast milk.
It is not made from actual breast milk. It is supposed to, though, represent the flavor of what breast milk would taste like. Now, I don't want to be the guy.
There's a sprinkle of colostrum in there.
That's disgusting.
I would not want to.
That is breast milk.
They say it's made not from real breast milk.
If there is sprinkles of colostrum in there, listen, man, you could call it a different thing, but that's like the early signs of breast milk. Alex saw it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've tasted it. Not good. My wife's, by the way. Nobody else's. I've tasted it.
Do you want to explore this?
I was curious. I mean, we had 3 kids, and I've seen a lot of breast milk. I was curious, and I tried it, and
it's like kind of sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't taste any different. It's just the thought of drinking breast milk.
I've got some bug bites on my legs. If you use it instead of like the anti-itch cream, it works way better.
Never heard that before.
No, it's true.
I just use clear nail polish. That works too.
There you go. See, breast milk is like the magical elixir, dude. If you've got a scratch, you can put it on there and it helps it heal faster.
Gives you smooth skin, too.
You shouldn't mind this ice cream if you lose in the pick'em punishment.
I'm just bathe yourself in it, basically.
I'm not eating that. They can say it's not actual breast milk, but if there's a sprinkle of colostrum, is that what it was?
Colostrum?
I'm not, no. Sorry. I veto that.
They say it's not made from it.
Yeah, sure. I can't replicate the taste of breast milk.
I saw this and said, this is a perfect punishment for BK and Ferrario.
Do they sell it? Like, can you get it shipped?
You can order it online. That's what it says in this article on USA Today.
Go ahead and grab some, man. I think that's a reasonable punishment.
Okay.
I veto it.
It's
$12.99. There's a democracy.
I veto it.
I think you should have
put it on the company card.
A pint of this ice cream over the course of the show. Can you imagine? That'd be a lot.
I think I'm going to order it. I hope I can expense it.
I veto it.
I hope our big boss John's listening. I'm just going to put breast milk ice cream on the company card. No further questions, please.
BK, Big Brother's on regular TV. It doesn't require streaming services. I know. We just haven't set up the whole digital thing because it's not. I just don't care enough. And we're not going to watch it live, to be totally frank with you. We're not. That's at like 7 o'clock. Luca's still awake. No chance. Alex knows about this live.
Yeah, there's no TV when kids are awake.
If you want to actually pay attention to something, watch it later.
Subtitles don't even work when the kids are awake.
No, we've got too much other stuff going on. Yesterday, Luca was a bull in a china shop. He just started like jumping off of the couch, just like free falling in the air. No chance.
You're at the trust fall stage of toddlerhood.
Yeah, we started that about a week ago.
Last night, my daughter screamed for 2.5 hours because she wanted her stuffed animal wrapped in the blanket properly.
Yeah.
And we didn't wrap it properly. And when you asked her to do it, she screamed and said, I want you to do it. So.
Yeah, the having the correct stuffed animals in the bed, that's becoming a big thing.
She puts all of her stuffed animals. Like, there's like, I'll take a picture of it. There's probably like 27 of them in her bed.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And her bed's tiny. But there's like 20, and they're everywhere.
We do like 3 to 4.
I think that if you're going to put the breast milk as the option, I'm going to say that one of the punishments is loser has to babysit my kids for a night.
Well, that doesn't do any good for the show, though. It's supposed to be for the audience.
Oh, no.
They're the ones that have to enjoy this.
I've got like nanny cams. I'll videotape it so everyone can see it, and we'll post it on YouTube.
That's one that exclusively has that has to be used for T-Bone.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. When T-Bone uses, it's a designated punishment.
We should have one that, like the last week of the year, it's an individualized punishment. One for me if I lose, one for you if you lose, one's for BK if he loses.
T-Bone's
is babysitting.
Watching one of our kids. Either watching
your
my kid
one or my three.
Actually, or all 4.
Oh,
dude,
my gosh.
He would lose his mind. Oh,
man. And, it wouldn't even be
getting like videos.
We could do it like a couple's night out. It wouldn't even be a night out for us. We could just go somewhere and watch the nanny cam of him with all 4 kids.
Amazing.
3, because I'm not going to give you my 1-year-old. I don't trust you with that one.
I think that one would be the easiest one to take
care of. It would be,
but
but that one's way too reliant on you.
Great Heart Brewing, just down the street from us right here, Alex. Kind of the midpoint between you down in South County, Jeffco, and me out in St. Charles. We could meet here. T-Bone takes all the kiddos. You guys hang out? It'd be great.
Now, luckily, I don't lose in the Pick'em Challenge.
Oh, man, that's even worse punishment. Have them at your place. 4 kids in that tiny of a space.
Oh, my God.
Oh, you'd be bleeped.
Somebody said live stream of T-Bone babysitting would make an absolute killing on pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view? We just need it on our YouTube channel. I'll set up cameras in every room and we'll be good to go.
He's Alex's T-Bone on BK. Coming up next, there's a new list out for the NHL's best goaltending tandems. Where do the Blues rank on this list, and will it piss off Alex? We'll find out together next here on 101 ESPN. It is not. It's from TSN up in Canada.
Willing to listen.
Travis Yost wrote this. How do you feel about Travis Yost?
I don't mind him. Every team, if it's from TSN, you're typically going to get a lot of Canadian teams at the top.
There is one Canadian team at the top of this list.
Okay.
He tiered out, so tier 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the talent tiers of goaltending tandems heading into the 2025 season. Tier 1, Alex, there are 3 teams represented. Do you think you can guess the 3 teams that are represented in tier 1 of the goaltender tandems?
Winnipeg's got to be one of them.
Ding, 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 ding. You got one?
Yep. Dallas.
Nope. They are in tier 2.
Okay. Toronto.
No, they are in tier 3.
Okay.
The back end of tier
Tampa?
3. They are in tier 2 as well. They're actually behind the Blues, believe it or not.
Boy, tier 1. Who?
The Blues are in tier 1?
Nope.
Oh, he said tier 3, and they're never mind. I'm trying to go through this right now. It can't be Vegas.
They are in tier 3 as well.
Is it Florida?
They are in tier 3.
Carolina?
They are at the top of tier 2. You have the top 2 in tier 2 now done, Carolina and Dallas.
Okay.
Rangers?
Boom. They are number 1 on the list. At the very top of the list. Rangers, then Winnipeg. You have basically the top 5 outside of the number 3 team right now.
Is it the Islanders?
One more. Bingo.
Sorokin.
You got it.
Those are the top 3 goalies.
Yep.
They stink still.
Well, I know, but their goalie's incredible.
Rangers, Winnipeg, New York. That is tier 1, according to Travis Yost, in the NHL right now when it comes to their goaltenders. In tier 2, you have Carolina, Dallas, LA Kings, Montreal, the New Jersey Devils. You mentioned already, Alex, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then you've got Vancouver and Washington. And the St. Louis Blues. He's got the Blues as a tier 2 tandem in the NHL. He writes the following about the Blues in his write-up. Quote, Jordan Binnington has 2 years remaining on his deal, and though he may not be ready to pass the baton quite yet, I do think that the Blues brain trust wants to see more of Joel Hofer. The 25-year-old has posted strong results across 61 games over the past 2 seasons, and he looks primed to win the position longer term in St. Louis. Does that feel like a reasonable ranking to you heading into the 2025 season, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, because
tier 2, roughly 10th overall.
I can nitpick. Like, I think they're better than Vancouver because Vancouver's goalie hasn't been healthy. Oh, he does? I thought you said Vancouver was in front of them.
Tampa, Vancouver, and Washington. Those are the 3 teams in the same tier that are behind the St. Louis Blues. Blues are 9th, so only behind New Jersey, Montreal, LA, Dallas, and Carolina.
Yeah, and I would have them above New Jersey. I'd have them above Montreal, and that would probably be my list. But you're nitpicking because it's still tier 2, which I would agree with. You're not in tier 1. You're in the middle of tier 2. I prefer Jordan Binnington over a majority of those top goaltenders. And I think Joel Hofer's better than some of those as well. But if you're going off of the tandem, I think you're probably right. I would probably put him at 6th or 7th. But I think he's spot on in terms of this upcoming season, because my thought process along with this is I think you're going to see a lot more of Joel Hofer this year. I don't know if people are realizing with this condensed schedule in the Olympics, I think you're going to see 50-50 this season. I don't think you're going to see 60-40 or 65-35. I think this is going to be 50-50 to where you don't see as much Jordan Binnington in the early portion of it. You'll see a little bit more of Joel Hofer, and then you start to see more Binnington in the middle. The Olympics happen, and then out of the Olympics is when you get more Jordan Binnington. So I do think that you're going to get a lot more Joel Hofer this year, but in my opinion, Joel Hofer's ready to handle that load, and you're going to see those two potentially move higher up on that tier list by the end of the season.
I hope that that's the case. I hope he gets a little more time off. I think that'd be good for Benner,
I do
honestly.
too.
I think it'd be good for the Blues because then you have more of a transition plan already in place. You could find out a little bit more about what Joel Hofer is ready to take on, because in 2 years, you've got to make a decision on Hofer, man.
Yeah.
They got this bridge deal done, which is great for everybody involved. I'm glad they were able to, but it does put a bit of a timeline on. They're both up at the same time. You have to then determine what's our plan here. What's the plan moving forward? Are we going to keep Benner around for a little while longer? Is Hofer going to become the number 1 guy? How do we want to approach this? So over the next 2 seasons, that's got to be kind of the underlying story heading into the 2027 season.
The one thing this past year, like you saw 56 games from Binnington, and that's probably 6 to 8 more than the Blues would have liked because Bannister used him more than what they wanted to use him because Bannister's concern was winning early on. And they weren't planning on doing that because I remember David Alexander telling Joey and Curbs, like, hey, we want to see Hofer a little bit more early on against some of these bigger matchups, but they kept going to Binnington. And then down the stretch, that's where you started to see a little bit more Joel Hofer. I think you're probably talking about seeing like 45 games from Jordan Binnington and 37 or something like that from Joel Hofer.
Great.
The goal all along from David Alexander is Jordan Binnington is not at his best when he's exhausted. So if you're using him too much early on, then you lose Jordan Binnington, and you got to regain it with some more rest. And that's where you get to the back half of the season, making sure that he's good to go.
All right, other thing that I wanted to get to, NHL related, there was a really good piece out earlier today from ESPN.com. It's our guy Greg Gwashinski, who talked with the whole Tkachuk family. He talks to Brady, talked to Matthew, and he talks to Keith. Why? Because they're on the video game.
It's awesome.
NHL 26, I guess it would be. They're on the cover of the deluxe edition together. Matthew is the poster child for 26, but the three of them were on it together for the deluxe edition. He talks to Keith Tkachuk, and he asked him about Brady's situation in Ottawa. I think it's a good question to ask. I wasn't anticipating something like this being in this kind of a piece, honestly, because typically they're puff pieces, and it's a relatively tough question to ask in this setting. Keith gave a real answer. He said, quote, "I wouldn't believe everything you hear. I think after what happened with Matthew in Calgary, everybody just assumes the same thing is going to happen with Brady in Ottawa. But Brady loves it there. Brady has really cemented himself in the community. They're a team on the rise. They've got a bunch of great young players. They're core players. The fans and the city itself treat him very well. He wants to be a big part of that moving forward, so I don't think he's going anywhere," end quote. What do you read into that, Alex, if anything at all?
Not much, because, I mean, look, Big Walt is obviously always a upfront and honest individual, and I do believe what he's saying, that Brady loves Ottawa, and I mean, he's right. Like, that team is probably one of the more highly anticipated teams coming out of Canada with this season for how young they are and everybody locked up to contract extensions. But I would also say that could change in a snap. As much as he loves Ottawa and is based in that fan base and that community to where they love him, that can also change when winning's not a part of the chemistry or a part of the recipe, the DNA of that team. They got a taste of it last year. If they don't get back there again, you start to get frustrated because remember, Brady's brother has won back-to-back Stanley Cups.
Been to 3 in a row.
And guess what his primary goal is, Brady? Winning a Stanley Cup. So if you don't take steps forward, then that's going to change pretty quickly. I think right now he loves where he's at. He loves the teammates. He loves the city. He loves the organization. But if they don't make steps being a Stanley Cup contender next year, I could see that change pretty quickly.
You've got 2 years before that becomes a real conversation, especially if I'm Ottawa. I'm not trading you before there's 1 year remaining on your contract.
No.
He's got 3 years left right now. Play out this season, play out next year, see where you're at. Everybody reassess the situation, and that's when you have to make a call. Does Brady want to re-sign? If he does, dude, keep him here forever. Like he is the franchise icon that we're building around, right? And if he doesn't, then you have a decision to make. Do we play him on this $8.2 million deal, 1 year left, try to get everything we can, extract the value out of it, the way that Calgary did with
Florida?
No. If you had just like brought him back, you build around him. Like this is the opposite of what Calgary did with Matthew Tkachuk. This is what they did with Gaudreau, where they extracted all of the value. So we're going to keep riding this thing out, and if you leave, you leave. That's one option. Option B, you trade him.
Yeah.
And you extract the value via some kind of a trade, similar to what Calgary did. But I don't think this is a real conversation until 2027. That's when we can start talking about it.
But I think it changes the more that Ottawa struggles. Because I remember talking to the Ottawa Senators beat writer last season for one of the pregames, and he said, look, Brady is an incredible player and is a difference maker, but if this team doesn't start winning, Brady's not going to be happy here.
And that's fine. Brady, you can be unhappy. We've got 2 years left. You signed the contract. You're here. We have contractual obligations for you for the next 3 seasons. And really, like, it's 2 because that last year becomes the pre-agency that the NBA really started and now the NHL is kind of taking after. But I don't think in the next 2 years you're going to see anything that really changes with them.
I don't think so either, but I only hesitate because I just don't know. Hockey teams are weird. Like, if there's locker room issues, they try and get rid of it pretty quickly. I don't know if that's even going to be a case with Brady because he's a captain. He's not that type of guy. Yeah, I'm thinking of Vancouver. I'm thinking of, I mean, there's been plenty of instances where teams are like, nope, get this guy out of here because he's a problem. But Brady's not a problem, so I don't think you have to worry about that.
Coming up next, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for, yes, the return of Believe It or Not here on BK and Ferrario.
You may have heard Doug Voss and Safe Money Radio. His shows have been on several radio stations for many years. Now he can be heard every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on 101 ESPN. Doug's super excited to get to the ESPN audience as he's a huge St. Louis sports fan. Doug is an expert at minimizing the impact of market volatility on his clients' assets. So catch Safe Money Radio every Sunday at 10 a.m. on 101 ESPN. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
The 101 Reward Center is always loaded up with awesome giveaways. And right now, we have your shot to score a pair of Beats Solo 4 wireless headphones.
Enter to win now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app. Powered by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so
free, flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be?
Believe it or not, it's just me.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Believe It or Not.
Going over there. Yeah.
Huh?
Squidward was really flapping his wings.
You guys give us a
Squidward
scenario.
could fly. He was a squid.
We'll tell you if we are believing it or not.
Swimming.
Would be like
Maybe he was swimming to the top.
What would be the motion of a squid? Aren't they like more?
And they're kind of like what he was doing, to be honest with you. Look at the video.
Here on 101 ESPN.
Like his tentacles are flopping around.
Oh, yeah.
That's a phrase I never thought I'd say.
Hey, Walrus, why don't you turn the sound off, dude? What the hell?
Why don't you turn the sound off of something like this?
Yeah. Why don't you sing along?
This is gold. It's back by popular demand because BK
bot.
skipped it
Had
last
to be
week.
Bot. YouTube bot.
All right, let's get into it. Believe it or not, here on 101 ESPN. Guys, believe it or not, a team from the National League West will represent the NL in the World Series this year. A team from the NL West, most likely the Dodgers or the Padres, will represent the NL in the World Series this year.
I'm going to say not believe it. I think it's somebody from the NL East. I don't trust the pitching on either of those sides, and unless I see the offense get better, mainly Mookie Betts, I don't know if I trust the offense on those compared to what the Phillies or the Mets have to offer.
My wife texted me and said, turn down the music, increase your volume when you sing that.
Why?
She wants to hear more of us.
I'll turn the mic off for a moment.
There we
have
go.
A moment of
I thought she was saying
it's better
to make you sound better.
It's better if we don't.
I think we're pretty damn good at it.
Partly why Walrus was turning his head. Okay, mic's back on.
Well, don't worry about what Walrus has to say.
I will say not believe it, because I think the Phillies might be the team that comes out of the National League. And I liked what the Padres did at the deadline. I worry about their offense still. then for the Dodgers, like, they're healthy, sure. I mean, I've been saying that all freaking year. Are they going to be healthy by the time we get to October? I'm skeptical, and they need bets to figure it out. So I'm going to say not believe it.
I can't believe the Dodgers are plus 140 to win the league. For anybody that doesn't really not interested in betting, that means that you would have to bet $100 to win $140 on the Dodgers to win the National League. For context on that, like if you were to bet on a baseball game today, just go like a random baseball game that's being played. You could bet on the Chicago White Sox to beat the Guardians today. You bet $100, you win $134. So you basically have the same odds today of the White Sox beating the Guardians as you do for the Dodgers to win the National League. That's an overwhelming favorite, and I think that's crazy, man. So I'll say not believe it. I do think it ends up being somebody else. I could see the Cubs, the Mets, or the Phillies doing it outside of the NL West. Yes, I left off the team with the best record in the Major League Baseball right now. I understand.
Cubs potentially not even making the playoffs, but yeah, they could win the World Series.
I'd be pretty shocked if the Cubs
I would be
don't
too,
make it.
but everybody in Chicago is panicking right now. So
they're 6.5 games up on the Reds to miss the playoffs. That'd be a huge collapse.
Wild that people in Chicago would panic about something like this. Believe it or not, guys, the Cardinals' 7th, 8th, and 9th inning pitchers for next season are all on the team's roster right now.
I do think they'll add somebody in the offseason that's like their version of Phil Maton from this year. Hell, it might be Phil Maton. But I think they're going to add a veteran, cheap, don't get excited about it. Like, it's not going to be anything crazy, but a $2 to $5 million bullpen arm. I think they'll add one or two of those. I do think there's value in adding those guys in the offseason for two reasons. One, the veteran presence I do think makes a bit of a difference. It's not a ton. And two, the more important part, if you get to the deadline and you're not in it, those guys are worth something. You could get another lottery ticket prospect just the way that you did this year for Phil Maton. So I'm not believing that. I do think they'll add one or two of those arms in the offseason.
Yeah, I'm not going to believe it because I think they will add somebody that will fit into that mix. It's just the thing to do even for rebuilding teams. You go out, you find somebody, sign them to the 1 year to $2 to $5 million deal, and then you trade them at the deadline if it works out. And if it doesn't work out, then you know what, you give it the old college try. But yeah, I'm not going to believe it. I think two of them are on the roster, and that would be O'Brien and JoJo.
Yeah, I was going to believe it because I think Svanson's going to be one, and then I'm curious about this guy that they just claimed off of waivers if he becomes one. Because two of those guys they could trade at the deadline, Romero and this,
they could also trade Romero in the offseason.
No, they won't do that. We know how that works. Offers weren't good enough.
Guys, believe it or not, Kyle Leahy and Quinn Matthews will combine for 20 starts for the Cardinals next season.
Seems aggressive. I'll say not.
Yeah, I'm going to say not believe it. I could see like 10.
I don't know who that fifth starter is going to be next year, though. I have no idea.
And that's why I think I threw that in there.
I think they're going to trade for something or sign something.
I think so. I think the trade is probably the most likely outcome. They'll try to get their Quinn Priester. I know Alex has mentioned that a number of times, but trade one or two of your surplus position players like Nootbaar, Gorman, those kinds of guys. Get yourself a starter that can be inserted into the mix by opening day of next year. I think that's probably the most likely outcome. So 20 plus starts just feels like a lot. For two guys, Quinn, I don't know if or when he's going to pitch at the big league level. And Leahy, I would still say the most likely outcome for him next year is that he's a bullpen arm for you.
Yeah, and feels like somebody like Steven Matz was, to where it's like, hey, if we need to use you in a pinch, we can. But
exactly.
you like an injury happens, we can use you, but you're going to still be a reliever for us.
And I do think there's a decent chance that next year, by this time, we're talking about Liam Doyle in the rotation.
Before Quinn Matthews? Or you think Quinn Matthews gets to start before
I just don't
Doyle?
know. I don't know. I don't know where Quinn Matthews is going to be at. Like, if you ask me on spring training and we could see what the velo looks like, I'd feel better answering this if he's throwing like 95 again. But right now, with where his velocity is at and the walk issues that he had, he's not close right now to being big league ready.
Yeah, I think Doyle's a little aggressive of being here by this time next year, but I would say not believe it as well. I do wonder if they will go with Leahy as the 4th/5th starter. And the reason I throw 4th out there, are they going to run it back with Palante again or no? Like, I wonder if they could look to try and upgrade on his spot as well, and you try and do two different changes in the rotation. You add a 5th starter, and you try maybe another experiment, whether it be something internal or you go out and trade for something to come in here and upgrade over Palante.
That's a really interesting one.
I just don't know if the Cardinals can afford to go and upgrade over Palante when he's cheap and just somebody who can give you innings.
Yeah, and that's why like that one would be probably more of the trade route.
Yeah, if you go out there and you get an
signing
upgrade.
somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, Palante's not going to be too cheap next year either. He'll be like $5 million. So he'll have a full year of being a starter under his belt. He made $2 million this year via arbitration. Next year's year 2 of arbitration. He'll have 3 years in total, 26, 27, and 28 in ARB. You could probably get something of value for him. I mean, you think about what the Padres just did at this year's deadline, where they traded basically 2 of Andre Palante. So like Palante plus McGreevy or Palante plus Graceffo, something like that. And they were able to get a major league catcher that they think can be a starter for their big league club on a World Series contender in Freddie Fermin, who has multiple years of control remaining. Maybe that's something the Cardinals consider this offseason. I hadn't really thought about it, but it makes some sense.
Because Palante, I don't view as a lock as being in the rotation for next year. I think odds are in favor of him probably coming back, but he's not a lock. I think Libby, McGreevy, and Sonny Gray are the only 3 locks that I would say are back into the Cardinals rotation in 2026.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Let's get into your scenarios for Believe It or Not. Guys, believe it or not, Mizzou will make the college football playoff and basketball gets into March Madness. So Mizzou football makes it to the playoff, basketball makes it to the madness.
I'll say not, because I don't think Mizzou gets to the college football playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to say not. I think Mizzou basketball could get back in. They got an interesting roster in there. It's such a great conference. Like, they go 500. Like,
you're in.
You're probably a 8, 9, 10 seed, somewhere in that range. I'm going to say not on Mizzou football. I'm worried about the quarterback. I know some are, like, excited, and it's like, oh, maybe Sam Horn's, like, bring something. They said it you mentioned the SEC documentary on Netflix that we've been watching. They say in, like, the first episode, second episode, if you typically are saying you got 2 quarterbacks, the answer is you have no quarterback. And it kind of feels like what Mizzou's saying right now. So I'm a little worried about their quarterback situation. So I'm going to say not believe it.
I'm going to say not believe it as well, just because the odds are in my favor there. It's really hard to make it to the college football playoff. The odds would be heavily against Mizzou doing so this year. So I'll say not and have the hope that they can. Believe it or not, guys, none of the final 4 teams from the college football playoff last year will make it again this year. So Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, and Texas. Those were the final 4 teams from a year ago. Believe it or not, all 4 are eliminated prior to the final 4 this year.
I'll say not. I think one of Ohio State or Texas is back.
So I don't think Notre Dame will do it. Who was the other one?
Penn State.
Man, I really like that Penn State team. I'm not going to believe this. I think you're going to see, I think 2 could get there. I think it could be Texas and Penn State could be back.
I could see all of them back this year.
Yeah,
I don't think it would be a surprise.
If you get the quarterback play.
Yeah,
Notre Dame's the one I don't know about. But
I'm definitely not believing this. I mean, it's possible, especially when you get into this kind of a tournament. Like, anything can happen, right? We saw that a year ago where Arizona State is suddenly like, wait, Arizona State's good? We were all like, none of us believed that.
You told me they were in the Big 12. They're not good.
Then they went to double overtime against the team that ultimately, like, people thought was going to win the national title. So could they all get there? Yes. Could none of them get there? Probably. But I'm going to say not. I think at least one of them will end up in the Final 4 between Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, and Texas. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll get into the BK and Ferrario Rewind. But next, how much should we care about this story that Nolan Arenado is heading to Florida for a rehab stint? We'll get into some of the quotes from Ollie Marm. We'll try to internalize them next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update brought to you by Soliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals took 2 of 3 from the LA Dodgers with their win yesterday. They are off today. They'll be back in action tomorrow night when they start a 3-game set here at home against the Chicago Cubs. 7:15 will be first pitch. Matthew Boyd will be on the mound for Chicago. Michael McGreevy will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Soliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
T-Bone on BK. So, Alex, I was reading this story from John Denton, who tweeted out that Nolan Arenado was planning to head to Florida. He's going to go down to the complex to begin his rehab assignment. And then the story was posted overnight about this decision. And I think the quotes from Ollie Marmol, yesterday I panicked a little bit as we saw this at the end of the show. I think they helped calm me down just a little bit. He said the following. Again, this is from John Denton's story over on Cardinals.com. Quote, Nolan Arenado is supposed to travel down to our complex in Jupiter on Friday to start working through some stuff. I don't know if it is baseball activities as much as it is just him starting some strengthening on his injured shoulder. It is mainly about getting the shoulder back to full strength, and in the process, he'll be working on everything. He then continued, we'll see how this progression looks like. My thought would be, as we get closer to Arenado returning to full strength, he would want to play in some minor league games. But right now, we just want to get him down there, figure out what the plan needs to be. Alex, this does not sound like something that's close to a return. When I saw he's heading down to the Florida Complex League to start his rehab stint, I was like, oh my God, Nolan Arenado's going to start like rehab games starting on Friday? That is way quicker than any of us anticipated. This sounds like he's just going down to their complex where they have a bunch of personnel to be available to him at all times. I think he has a place that he stays in during spring training. So he's already got something ready to go for him down there. Not a bad place to be at this point in the year in Jupiter, right at the beach. Hang out, go fishing occasionally, work on strengthening up that shoulder. You're around all of the Cardinals personnel. I don't think this is necessarily as serious as maybe we were initially led to believe by the first quotes that were coming out on this.
Those quotes tell me that the shoulder obviously might be more of an issue than we thought, and it's just a matter of, hey, he's just going to go down there and work on it, see if he can get it stronger, and when he gets it stronger, which who knows that's going to be, then he's going to go do minor league games, and then we could talk about him being back. This sounds more like he's just going down to Florida to figure stuff out and work on his shoulder strength, which, again, the way, and I'm just reading words, but the way I'm reading it sounds like this might be a little bit more of an issue than we thought, which seems like this might be a lot longer of an injury than we originally thought.
Yeah, anytime I see it, it's kind of the same with hockey when you hear coach come out and say he's not really sure after like a day. It makes you really ask more questions. When Ollie Marmol says, I don't know if he's going down there to work on baseball activities or strengthen the shoulder, that tells me this is more serious. And it's not really a rehab assignment. I mean, it is, but it's not the rehab assignment you think when you see that announced by the team, which is, hey, he is going to go play in minor league games. And when we say go play minor league games, we're not talking a week from now. We're talking about tomorrow night. He's in his car right now driving to Springfield, or he's in his car right now driving to Memphis, and he's going to go play. This sounds more of like actual like rehab, like we would do if something like you have a knee that gets messed up or a shoulder that gets messed up.
Personal therapy or something like that.
That's more of what this sounds like, not a, hey, he's going to be back here in a minute. No, this still sounds like it could take some time.
A text line from the 910. How dare a player work to get better? Good Lord, man. I'm not saying that it's a problem that he's going down there. I'm totally cool with that. I was surprised yesterday when we heard this story initially, and it sounded as though he was closer than what this now updated report is indicating. So it was maybe a misread by me. I'll take that. For me, the way that I internalized it yesterday was that I felt as though it was representing something bigger than what it actually is. I'm cool with him going down there to get better. Awesome. I think he should try to get that shoulder better. If it's especially been affecting him recently, and that's part, not the whole reason, but part of why his production has fallen back again. Yeah, it sounds like he really needs to get this shoulder taken care of. But I just, my personal view of the situation, maybe people disagree with it, I don't know that it makes sense for I don't think it makes sense for the Cardinals to have Nolan Arenado on the active roster the rest of the way. I don't think it makes sense for the Cardinals to have Nolan Arenado play another game for them. And Ollie Marmol's job, he's going to put Nolan Arenado into the lineup. And I'll understand it. I won't blame him for it if they put him back on the active roster. This is a decision that needs to be made by ownership and the front office. It's their call. And if they are not willing to make that call, then he's going to play. And I don't think that's good for the Cardinals in the near or the long term. So when I saw that he was going out on a rehab assignment, that typically means, hey, in a week or so, you're expecting him back in the lineup at the big league level. I don't think that's good for the Cardinals, so I was disappointed by that. Now it sure doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. I would anticipate this is going to be a much longer, quote-unquote, rehab assignment than what I read it to be yesterday.
The way the show ended yesterday, I felt like it was very possible we were going to see him again, and now I'm back on the side of I don't think we see him again this season. But it kind of makes my tinfoil a little bit more believable now after it, to where I thought after the deadline he thought he was going to be gone. He wasn't gone. And it's, hey, I got this shoulder that's messing me up right now. I need to figure my own stuff out because I'd like to be traded this offseason. So I'm going to go work on my shoulder, rehab it so that in the offseason I'm healthy and maybe a little bit more teams are interested in where I want to go rather than what was at the deadline.
All right, final thing that I wanted to get to real quick before we get to the other side, BK and Ferrario Rewind. Roman Anthony signed an 8-year deal worth $130 million to stick with the Red Sox yesterday. It has the potential to become like $230 million, depending on how things go. There's a lot of complicating factors in it, but it's basically like, hey, how good are you? Do you win MVPs? Do you win Rookie of the Year? If so, these continue to escalate. Is there any player on the Cardinals roster right now that you'd be willing to talk about an 8-year, $130 million deal with?
No, but...
Because that seems to kind of be the somewhere in that range what you're looking at for stud young players to extend.
It's like Corbin Carroll's, I think, is something like
that's
that.
like what? Like
it's like $100 million for him. Churrio, similar.
Yeah.
So what's the 130? It's like 17 mil a year, something like that?
Yeah, ish.
Somewhere around that. I don't think so, but I hesitate because I think if there was one, it's Ivan Herrera. And it's solely because of the offense. Now, he's got no position defensively. He's a designated hitter with the potential of being an outfielder, but that offense plays in terms of it could be an elite bat, middle of the order bat for you. So he would be the one that I would consider, but no, as it stands right now, I don't think anybody on this team deserves that contract.
Yeah, I wouldn't give anybody that contract. And Herrera, like, I would kind of consider it, but because there's no defensive value there yet, until I start to see him playing in left field more, and I think that, okay, he has a position, that's typically a guy the Cardinals don't value. They don't value guys that don't have a position. They value guys that have the flexibility that provides them with their roster and the fact that they can play multiple positions. I don't think there's anybody on this roster. And I don't know that there's anybody, like, unless they take significant step forwards, it's going to get there in the next couple of years. So, yeah, no, I don't think there is one.
The only player that I would consider doing something like this with is twofold. One, Mason Wynn, maybe. I don't know that it's going to take that kind of a deal, but then I look at what Dansby Swanson got in the free agent market, and it is that kind of a deal. So I would consider it with him. $130 million, probably not, but could you do some kind of a long-term deal with him? Yeah, I would be willing to talk about that in the event that you decide he is our established franchise shortstop. You come to that decision, long-term deal comes into place. That makes some sense to me. And the other guy would be, and this would require him to be awesome down the stretch, but if the Cardinals, like tomorrow, they're not going to do this, but if the Cardinals tomorrow called up J.J. Weatherholt and he was every bit as good as everybody is expecting him to be, and he just continued to have the success that he's had all year this year at Double and Triple A, yeah, I'm willing to talk about it. T-Bone will say no.
And I've been scared off by the fact that I nearly did this with Jordan Walker, and now I've seen him. That's what I wouldn't have done the Roman Anthony one, to be clear. And he's been great. Year 2 is when you really find out what you got, because year 2 is when the book's out.
There's just so little downside to these deals.
I mean, once he starts making real money on that contract,
but if he performs and you're paying him $18 million like a star early on,
sure. I'm playing the ARB system, man. You know when you've never been proven wrong by playing the ARB system.
I disagree. I mean, the way you're proven wrong is by that guy getting to the end of it and you haven't paid him, and now you're going to have to pay the full freight of the contracts. You know, like Roman Anthony. Here's the deal by year. In terms of millions of dollars, 2, 4, 8, 15, 19, 23, 25, 29. It doesn't really start getting into the big money until 2031, when he's making 23, 25, and $29 million for a 3-year stretch. That's real money. Don't get me wrong. In a place like Boston, if you are not able to do something else because you gave somebody $23, $25, and $29 million in the year 2031 when money is continuing to go up in this sport, man, that's on you as an organization. And the same thing could be said, I would say, for the Cardinals. You should be able to overcome $23, $25, and $29 million on your books. They've had Miles Michaelis making $18 million in recent seasons. You should still be able to field a team that works around that in the event that it doesn't work out with this player. And not working out with this guy is like he's an above average regular probably. So paying for those in free agencies $15-ish million a year right now. So you're getting surplus value on the first 5 years of this deal. And it's 3 years you're talking about. I think it makes a lot of sense. If you think that the guy's going to be a stud, you got to be right. And in that event, you're getting like $10 million cheaper than what it would otherwise cost you.
Yeah, too risky. I'm out. Not doing it. Wouldn't do it.
I'd like to general manage against you.
I wouldn't have bad contract. I wouldn't have given Michaelis his contract extension, so
no, me either.
People wouldn't be yelling at me on that one.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, that's a totally different. That was paying for one good year.
That was he is getting an extension on an already veteran deal. These contracts for the Cardinals were Paul DeJong, Colton Wong, the original Matt Carpenter extension. Carlos Martinez got one of these. Those were the ones that they put into place, and most of them worked out, and almost all of them were fine. Like, even with Paul DeJong, you were still able to trade it. It was a tradable contract.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it with DeJong.
I would consider it. I do think you can get yourself into a place, though, where you do too many of them. The Braves are in that place.
Yeah.
Any individual deal doesn't hurt you that much.
And the tough part that, like, though one of them may not be to what you're saying of, well, like, you should be able to overcome whatever it is, $10 million, say, if you guess wrong on it. Problem is when you have multiple of those, now it's not even if you're wrong or right, you just limit your flexibility.
No doubt.
And that's what I hate about the way that the Braves
and you start putting the odds against you.
Yeah. And the Braves are now at the point where it's like, man, they could seriously use some turnover. And you look at the rushing, well, okay, what are they turning over? Like, they don't have a lot that they can turn over.
Yeah, eventually, and this is part of it too, I do think the carrot at the end that you're dangling for the player, there's value in that too. The arbitration system rewards good production. Mm-hmm. And so the player has to continue to produce in order to be paid as they want to be paid in arbitration. Once you pay them what you and they deem they're worth, otherwise you wouldn't come to the agreement, that ceases to exist. That incentive is no longer there. So that guy better be internally motivated. Because if they're not, well, I just got paid. I'm guaranteed this money. This is not like football where you can cut me at any given time. I will have that money coming my way no matter what. So if you end up signing a player for a guy that is not as internally motivated as you originally thought, that can be a problem as well. And that's part of, I think, why some of these guys, you see them continue to go into arbitration. But Wynn would be one. I would consider it with Herrera. And then the other would be J.J. Weatherholt. Those would be really the only three guys I would even give consideration to here. He's Alex Ferrario. That's Tanner Hendrickson. And I'm Brandon Kiley. Coming up next, we'll finish the show with a rewind here on 101 ESPN. All right, let's dive into the rewind. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
That 101 ESPN app is free to download, super easy to use, and it is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. You can check us out on YouTube as well, youtube.com/101ESPN STL. We've had a little bit of an argument in there over the last 15, 20 minutes or so, but I hope you guys, I don't know, man, people just...
politics
and
probably.
a bit of a disagreement.
No fighting. Brandon put you in timeout on the YouTube
That's
chat.
true. That's true.
Here we go.
You will all go to timeout if we keep fighting.
We got Splashback Deuce. We got Tanner's Skid Marks. Jeremy Hodge. Ka GG.
Can't say that, man.
John Scores. DJ Patty Cakes all hanging out. Gator over there. Master Sin. It's all available in the YouTube chat at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. And later today on the YouTube channel, we will have a new edition of the Redbird Report, a fresh episode for you guys to consume on an off day for the St. Louis Cardinals. Alex, we continue with the Cardinals conversation here. I saw this. This comes from Kareem Hack, who does really good work following the Cardinals minor league system. He's at Kareem SSN over on Twitter. Highly recommend following his work over there. He tweeted the following. Jordan Walker has shown nothing over the past 2 years to necessitate a runway. I'm not saying his story is already written as a 23-year-old, but at some point, he has to perform. Even this recent hot stretch doesn't feel real. His mishits are finding holes. He then continued asking the following as a poll question. You guys know how much I love Twitter polls.
Yes. You're the king of them.
Should Jordan Walker be penciled in as a starting outfielder for the Cardinals in 2026? Yes or no? 61% of the near 700 votes thus far say yes, he should be penciled in as a starting outfielder for the Cardinals in 2026. Alex, to me, this is why the remainder of this season is so important. Because Kareem's right. 2 years now, we're talking about Jordan Walker as a 30% below league average hitter. His slugging percentage went from .445 in year 1 to .365 in year 2 to .320 in year 3. His wins above replacement, which is not the end-all be-all, but it is not nothing either, was at -0.1, -0.9, -0.9 over the last 3 seasons. He's been worth -2 wins above replacement for his career. In other words, he's a below-average player in Major League Baseball and has been for 3 seasons. The next 2 months, that has to be the priority, is finding out the answer to the question that Kareem just asked, which is, should he be penciled in as a starting outfielder in 2026? Because my honest answer right now is, I don't know.
I mean, my honest answer right now is no, because I think Burleson, Herrera, and Victor Scott have shown more priority over Jordan Walker for next season. If you're going off of success alone, Herrera should become an everyday outfielder, and Burleson as well.
My bet on that would be those 3 can start in the same lineup. You can have one of them as a DH on any given day while the other 2 are in the outfield. But, yeah, you're right. If you're just going by production, Herrera's been better. Burleson has been better. Donovan has been better if you wanted to move him out there. Scott has been better overall as a hitter. They're comparable. But, yes, Scott has so much other value beyond just the hitting, whereas Walker does not. But right now, I can't tell you with any certainty as to whether or not he will or should be penciled in as the starting outfielder because I truly don't know.
Yeah.
The recent progress has been encouraging. Is it sustainable? Dude, I still don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I still don't even know even if 2 months, if he's playing every day, people are going to have a definitive answer on Jordan Walker if he's ready for it or if there's progress or if you feel like he's just completely a bust. But you need to get as many answers as possible, and that's what the 2 months can provide. I mean, all the expected numbers don't look good for Jordan Walker, but he's coming through in moments for the Cardinals, and he looks like a different hitter. So that's where you try and at least capitalize on and hope that the confidence can carry over. Tebow made a good point in the open today talking about it's like, look, he had himself in a hole at the beginning of August that looked like he was back to his old self, and he dug himself out of it. Can you continue that for the rest of the way? I don't think 2 months is enough to give us a definitive answer, but I think it helps his case or it hurts his case in terms of the decisions for the Cardinals moving forward.
Somebody on the text line, and T-Bone, I'm curious your thoughts on this as well. Do you give Walker more runway to try to have Bloom's people work with him? Guys, Bloom's people are working with him. Bloom's people are in place.
Serfolio's working with the big league staff now. And he is a Chaim Bloom hire.
And then is that why they sent him to Double-A as well? There was a hitting coach there that they felt was better productive for him than Triple-A?
100%.
the other thing, too, and I think maybe this is what's also important here in this conversation, is if you really trust your player development staff, or you really trust the ability to evaluate talent, which you've brought up about how good the Milwaukee Brewers are at it, it does not take 3 years to figure out what you have. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe it determines what kind of ceiling you have, but it should not take 3 years just to find out, can he even be an average major leaguer? It is time to start making that decision once you get towards the end of the season, and then figure out what the plan is going to be for him if that answer is no. So my answer right now, I would say probably not. I think if you don't have Walker, for example, if you decide, you know what, he's not going to be a guy that gets everyday runway going into 2026, that allows you to either keep one of Lars Nootbaar or add Brendan Donovan into the outfield mix, which then frees up second base for J.J. Weatherholt. Or if you decide to play Weatherholt at short, for example, maybe you can move Wynn to second base, just throwing out a hypothetical there. There's so much more that you can continue to do if you move Walker as the piece that's not there as the runway player for 26.
All right, before we get out of here today, what the hell are you guys watching tonight? We got one baseball game on. It's the Marlins versus the Braves. And
it's
pardon
the
me,
Redbirds.
I'm not watching that. The Redbirds are on FanDuel Sports Midwest. If you missed it, they're going to be they're going to be shown on a few different games. I think it's 5 games. The rest of the season starts tonight. You'll be able to see potentially J.J. Weatherholt, Quinn Matthews in action this evening. You're watching some preseason action. We've got the Colts and the Ravens, the Bengals and the Eagles, and then the Raiders and the Seahawks. What the hell are we watching tonight, boys? No Cardinals game on.
Tonight feels like a good park night for me and the girls.
Yeah,
it's a big brother night for us.
I'm thinking a big video game night. Video games or watch. I still haven't watched Happy Gilmore 2. Maybe tonight will be the night. I'll break it down for you tomorrow. Open at 11 o'clock.
What are we opening with tomorrow?
I think I might get sick tonight, and I might not be here
After
tomorrow.
further consideration, y'all better be watching the AAA game tonight.
Freedom Friday tomorrow for BT.
No.
We're either opening tomorrow with takes on Anthony Richardson or takes on J.J. Weatherholt. Your call.
I will give you the park recaps in Jefferson County.
Yeah, Ferrario 5. 5 best
Ferrario
parks
5.
to take
There
your
we
family.
go. Yep.
Ferrario 5. Top 5 parks in St. Louis.
Yeah.
No, in Jefferson County. Yeah, I don't go outside of that.
Oh.
So you just get Jeff go.
Kind of a limited
Somebody
list
said they're
then.
watching
It's gonna be a
Dexter
great one.
Original Sin. I started watching that for 5 minutes yesterday, or the other day. I don't know, man. I feel like it ran its course. I think it ran its course. I was tired.
I watched Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for a little bit last night.
Did you really?
Great.
Who's the host now?
Jimmy Kimmel's doing it, but
Really?
it's more so they bring the celebrities in, and I love Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, man. And then they got the match game with Martin Short after
Back in
Who
the
Wants
day
to Be a
with
Millionaire.
Regis. Are you familiar with Regis Philbin?
Love it. I love
don't
me
know
some
that.
Regis and Dick Clark, man, those two.
I don't know either of those names.
How do you not know New Year's Eve is based off of Dick Clark?
Is that real?
That's true.
Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve?
Yep. Tomorrow's going to be 3 hours of Big Brother discussion.
Tomorrow's going to be 3 hours of this.
Also, Ollie Marmol, the Cardinals manager is anticipating he's going to be stopping by the show.
I hope he's here for the open.
So be sure to stay tuned tomorrow.
11
Good
to
day.
1.
Good day to book Ollie Marmol,
Yeah,
I would
we
say.
got Brad Thompson, too.
And we'll
Mike
have
McKenna.
Macadoodle Mike. He'll be
Yeah,
on with us as he is
Macadoodle
each and every Friday. We'll probably try to get booked 3 to 7 other guests.
One's got to go. Junk drawer.
Will
Questions
ask
and
us
answers?
anything? We don't do ask us
Rewind?
anything. Or questions and answers on Fridays.
Ask us anything.
Very different.
There we go.
Oh, the rewind.
Coming from the guy who puts that on the rundown every Friday.
That's a fair point.
Coming up next, questions and answers. Oh, wait, it's Friday.
We will talk a little football, I would assume. And like I said, we'll have Ollie Marmol, which is really the draw for you guys.
From
here
11
on
to
the
1.
show.
I think he's got to go make
Ollie,
a roster
please stay on
move.
for 2 hours.
He's Alex Ferrario. That's Tanner Hendrickson. I'm
Descalzo's
Braden
got it.
Kiley. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. We'll have a Redbird report later on today at youtube.com/101 ESPN STL. The Fast Lane is coming up next here on 101 ESPN.